live from White House Field in Harwich, Massachusetts. The Harwich Mariners look to keep it rolling in the... Well, it took a while to get here, but the power's back on, the burgers are on the grill, and the fans have filed in. We're ready to play baseball here on this lovely Tuesday evening. Pitched a good one, and that is going back. That's a hard hit ball. Back it goes toward the fence. Gone! The Harwich Mariners walk it off.
Welcome into White House Field. Up here in Al Graber Press Box, Devin Dobek alongside Wyatt Kopelman along with you on a beautiful, picturesque July evening here on the 20th at White House Field as the Harwich Mariners are set to host the Cotuit Kettleers for the final time this season. Well, Wyatt, it's been a tough stretch for the Harwich Mariners. Thinking back to their last 18 games, they've lost 14 of those. It's just been, or rather, their last 19 games, they've lost 14 of those. A tie also mixed in there. It's just been a really tough stretch, but a Cotuit group coming in, a group the Mariners have beaten twice this season. Now in the fourth matchup, what should we expect?
Well, it doesn't get any easier for the Mariners to try and beat Cotuit. Lost 6-1 the last time they were at Lowell Park, in which the Mariners just couldn't get any runs home, and that's been the story for this team over the last week. And Cotuit is going to put a lot of pressure on the starter in Zane Probst here today in Alabama. First in RBIs in the Cape Cod Baseball League, goes with first in home runs as well, and has 88 RBIs combined over the last 10 games. Zane Probst has a very tall task today.
Cotuit, the best team in the Cape Cod Baseball League, although they've not had a win in their last 3 games, most recently coming off a tie with the Chatham Anglers, a game in which they led 12-2 at home at Lowell Park. Chatham came all the way back, a Chatham team who's the worst in the Cape Cod Baseball League, stunning Cotuit and stealing a point from them at home.
And it was a crazy game to have, not only considering the progression of it and, you know, Chatham scoring 10 unanswered runs, getting 4 runs in the middle innings, and then being able to just slowly find its way back into the game, but also how the game ended as well. You consider that the game ended after 8 innings due to darkness, and the game dragged out that long at Lowell Park, in which Mike Roberts was unable to finally put an end to that Chatham scoring, and it was a 12-12 tie.
Great game here. The last home game before the All-Star game, which will be on Saturday, a 6 o'clock start here at White House. Also the home run hitting contest at 4:20. It's going to be a fun-filled day on Saturday, but we still got a couple more games until then. So let's get right into it. Let's meet Mike Roberts' Cotuit Kettleers. Leading off the first baseman, Cole Mathis. Batting second, the center fielder, Carter Matheson. Batting third's the second baseman, Grant Norris. The cleanup hitter, the former Mariner, at third base is Danny Corona Jr. Batting fifth, the right fielder, James McCoy. Trevor Haskins bats sixth at shortstop. Batting seventh, Brock Willis is the designated hitter. Batting eighth is Teo Banks in left field. And batting ninth, behind the plate, is Jack Scanlon. Well, for the Mariners, it will be Zane Probst making his first start of the 2023 summer. Made 3 starts for the Mariners back in 2022. Should be a good one to see. Zane comes into today making his 4th appearance for Harwich. And as I mentioned, first start, has an ERA of 1.50 to go along with 6 innings pitched, 3 strikeouts to 2 walks, and he's only surrendered 5 hits. He is the guy you want on the mound when you think about all the turnover that's been going on at Harwich. A reliable arm. You know you're going to get good innings out of him. What should we expect out of Zane Probst today, Wyatt?
I mean, you should expect to see the elevated sense of development that comes with pitchers from Alabama. Saw Aiden Moza go for a convincing inning last night, despite the Mariners losing. And for Probst, 2-1 on the season at Alabama this past season, increasing that strikeout to walk ratio. Had 22 strikeouts through 19 games, a very efficient right-handed thrower.
Cole Mathis, the all-star, digs in to face Probst first and fouls it off on a check swing to make it 0-1. Probst originally went to Seton Hall for a couple of years in 2021 and 2022 before transferring to Alabama. Second summer back in Harwich. He was an all-star last summer when he was here the majority of the year. Of course, arriving late and didn't really have an opportunity to showcase himself before this year's all-star game. Former All-Star versus new All-Star. The 1-1 misses outside to make it 2-1. Mathis has had a fantastic season up and down the board. I mean, there's not much this guy can't do. 6'1", 210 pounds out of Charleston, hitting .325 this season. 2-1 is popped into foul territory, and that will escape out of play. But yeah, hitting .325. He's also been able to tally 17 runs and 26 runs batted in. A really good season for Mathis here on the Cape. Also can pitch, a two-way player, and think a lot of that has gone into why he's an all-star in addition to the offense he's been able to provide, as the 2-2 is foul tipped into the mitt. Strikeout number 1 for Zane Probst, and there's one away here in the top of the first.
Probst, similar to Moza, brings that high-octane slider, and that time looped it away from the right-handed batter, had Mathis able to lunge at that time. And for Probst, his ability to get continuity and get the quick outs behind that is crucial. He had his third hold of the season, that 4-1 win here against Wareham at White House Field, 2 innings and 1 earned run. Also has 2 scoreless innings and allowed only 1 hit in that 5-0 home win here against Orleans. So Probst is just able to preserve leads, and it's just going to be a different task for him here today, but that is the challenge of pitching in the country's finest collegiate league.
So now it'll be Carter Matheson. He's behind 0-1 and rolls this one over to the second baseman, Seaver King. On to first. It's a 4-3 putout. Let's meet the Mariner defense here tonight. They are 6th in the Cape Cod Baseball League with a .966 fielding percentage and 40 errors. In the outfield, out and left is Kevin Karstetter. Jacob Humphreys in center. Devin Obie out and right. Kalen Culpepper will be the third baseman. Ali Camarillo's the shortstop with Seaver King at second. Ethan Anderson's at first. And Brian Arndt doing the catching. Pitch misses inside, and so it'll be 1-0 to start. Grant Norris here, the second baseman for Cotuit. Norris this season hitting .333 across his 11 games for Cotuit. They have the best average in the Cape Cod Baseball League as a team at .275, a high-powered offense. As ahead in the count now is Norris at 2-0. Probst looking for a clean 1-2-3 to start the ball game. Misses up high that time, 3-0. Mariners rocking their home cream uniforms, says Mariners across the chest in navy. Navy numbers on the back, trimmed in red with the cream pants, red hats with the Mariner Trident logo, and navy socks as a strike is delivered that time. Cotuit in their road maroon uniform, says Cotuit in black across the front with black numbers, trimmed in white. 3-1s, cut on a miss to make it a full count, 3-2. They also have those signature pinstripe pants, really sharp to add to the uniform there. They'll be wearing their navy hats with the Cotuit C featured right on the brim. 3-2, misses down low, and it's going to be a 6-pitch walk to extend the inning to a familiar face in Danny Corona. A Mariner last season, makes his return to Harwich, a bit of a revenge game per se. No bad blood, though, but Corona out of Wake Forest had a deep run with the Demon Deacons into the College World Series, was fantastic for them. Actually, I believe it was a semifinal where he was able to tie the game with a single, and Wake Forest went on to win en route to what would be, I believe, the runner-up, or the top 4 bid in the College World Series. A really good job by the program. It's 0-1 to Corona, the left-handed batter. Had a decent season in Harwich, was only here about 3-4 weeks. 0-1 pitch is going to be flared into shallow center field. Humphrey coming in, can't get there in time. And so it's a 2-out knock for Danny Corona to keep the inning alive.
Well, of course, the command and the movement on the pitches here for Probst will be key, but his defense has to be moving here today. Certainly saw some good movement behind Harwich's relievers last night. And what was a tough 5-0 loss, Harwich's just second shutout on the season. Lineup has to be able to give the Mariners a chance today if they're going to be able to at least keep pace with Cotuit, a team that has 21 combined hits here in the series through 3 games.
James McCoy's turn. He's adding the count 1-0. McCoy, 1 home run, 10 RBIs on the season. Batting 5th for the Kettleers here tonight. Probst comes set, crossing that left leg in front of him. Rocks and fires. That one misses up and away. 2-0. As I mentioned earlier, a beautiful night, as you would put it wide, a postcard perfect night. Really can't get much better than this. A nice breeze also blowing in. Able to cool you off. It's 2-1 count now to McCoy. Norris at second, Corona on first, thanks to a walk and a single here with 2 away. Here's the 2-1. Swung on a miss, 2-2. Harwich coming off a 5-0 shutout loss against the Falmouth Commodores on the road. The second time they've been shut out this season, and the second time in a week, for that matter. Orleans shut them out at home 12-0 in what was a one-hitter for the Firebirds pitching staff. 2-2 is going to be lined over Seaver King's head in the shallow right center field. Rounding third and headed home is Norris. Ball will be thrown in by Obie, and it's 1-0 Kettleers, just like that.
And Cotuit, I think what strikes you is that the first in RBIs, you might begin to mistake yourself for it being hard hit ground balls. Couple of just bloop singles here for the Kettleers, and for Probst can't really do much about it when it's already past the middle infielders, and most importantly, Cotuit has runners moving early. The Mariners have struggled with. They'll have to counter with that here.
So Probst runs into some 2-out trouble after a strikeout and a ground out. Another single to make it 1-0 Cotuit with runners still on the corners here for Trevor Haskins. Shortstop digs in looking to double the Cotuit margin early on. First pitch is going to be popped up. Shallow right center field, long run for King. Also coming in is Obi, and Obi makes a basket catch. An interesting one at that. Scary play, but the Mariners will take out number 3 in what could have been a lot of trouble. Cotuit leads this 1-0. We'll be right back on the other side to meet Steve Englert's Mariners. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Harwich Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. We welcome you back into White House Field. A beautiful night here in Harwich, and let's meet Steve Englert's Harwich Mariners. Leading off will be the first baseman, Ethan Anderson, batting second. The second baseman, Seaver King, batting third. The third baseman, Kalen Culpepper, batting cleanup. The left fielder, Kevin Karstetter, batting fifth. The designated hitter, Mason Guerra, batting sixth. The right fielder, Devin Obi, batting seventh. The catcher, Brian Arndt, batting eighth. The shortstop, Ali Camarillo, and batting ninth. In center is Jacob Humphrey. For the Kettleers, it'll be Brian Young towing the rubber. The lefty, 6 foot, 200 pounds, out of Neptune, New Jersey. A 10's rider making his debut for the Kettleers here today. Excited to see what we get out of Young. As Ethan Anderson, the switch hitter, digs in from the right side against the lefty. First pitch to him is going to be up and away for a ball. 1-0. Kettleers able to scratch across a run, even though there was 2 outs, nobody on. They're able to string together 4 extra batters and take the lead here early on the road. 1-0 is shot foul over towards the Cotuit dugout, or rather the bullpen. Actually got a piece of one of the bullpen arms, and it's 1-1. Cotuit bringing in a 4.12 earned run average as a staff. Opponents hitting just .237 against them. Harwich's opponent average has been superb at .230, though. It's a ball and 2 strikes to Ethan Anderson, a Harwich lineup that's really been struggling. Held to just 4 hits last night. Single-digit hits across their last 2 games combined. Here comes the 1-2. And it's going to be chop foul, defensive swing from Anderson that time. So we'll stay there. First time we've seen him in the leadoff spot. It's usually belonged to someone like King or Ali Camarillo, primarily Jacob Humphrey, though, this season. So interesting to see Englert try and shake things up. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Pitch. Misses inside for ball, 2-2. Mariner lineup continues to shake up. Still a bunch of transactions that will unfold in the coming days 2 balls, 2 strikes from Young as he comes set at the belt. And the pitch. No, it's in the outside corner. The umpire thought about it and eventually goes on to ring up Anderson. First strikeout of the Cape Cod Baseball League career for Young, and there's quickly 1 away.
Yeah, career will be interesting here for Brian Young, the left-hander at Ryder. I wonder how he'll be able to maximize his potential here in the Cape Cod Baseball League. Had a quality start in the MAAC tournament for Ryder and gave a quality start in that 2-1 regional loss to a very hard-hitting Duke team just at the start of June during the regionals. So for him, just being able to mix that command with the fastball and the slider in addition to the velocity as he's doing here to start off on the top third of the order will be key here in order for him to go at least 4 or 5.
Ball and no strikes to King. King coming in hitting a team-high .423. Now appearing in his 15th game for the Mariners. A guy who might not be here much longer, so taking the last ounce of baseball they can get out of him as he chops that one foul off to the left. And it's 1-1. Recently transferred to Wake Forest after a tremendous Division II season at Wingate. Ball and a strike now from Young. He comes set once again, and the 1-1 pitch just missed the outside corner, and it's 2-1. Tonight's umpiring crew, Jerry Martinez is at third base with Marvick Gomez at first, and William Bowers calls the balls and strikes. First time we've seen Bowers, I believe Martinez as well, involved in a Mariner game. 2-1. Misses inside, 3-1. King coming off a great game, went 2 for 3 against the Falmouth Commodores. Also drew a walk, was on base 3 times in the shutout loss. One of the few Mariners that was productive on offense. The only one with multi-hits. The 3-1 misses inside, and King able to draw a walk here with 1 away.
Cotuit with the 4th lowest ERA in the Cape Cod Baseball League, and you look to a newcomer on the mound here today, a left-hander, especially facing a right-handed heavy-hitting lineup. The quality that you look for out of him will be something to monitor here as he tries to get those quick outs. Mariners and Zane Probst faced 6 in the first. I wonder how they can actually try and extend here against Young as he works out of the stretch for the first time.
So Kalen Culpepper digs in. Kansas State Wildcat, first pitch to him is in there for a strike. It's 0-1. Culpepper was on that USA Collegiate National team along with Seaver King, a couple guys who left Harwich for about 3-4 weeks and played for the country after making the team, a huge feat in itself. The 0-1 is going to be grounded over to the shortstop in Haskins to second for 1. There will not be a play at first. They'll take the force out as we meet the Cotuit defense, who's 3rd in the Cape Cod Baseball League with 32 errors and a .972 fielding percentage. In the outfield, Teo Banks is in left. Carter Matheson's the center fielder with James McCoy in right. In the infield, Danny Corona Jr. is at third with Trevor Haskins at short. Norris is the second baseman with Cole Mathis at first, and Jack Scanlon doing the catching for Young.
Smart play right there. Not to risk anything. Cotuit with 32 errors on the season may surprise some when you consider how strong their fielding percentage has been in the top 3 in the Cape Cod Baseball League. And one goes sailing over the head. You're worrying about a runner in scoring position. It's only 2 outs. So for Cotuit, certainly just needing 1 more here, but someone tough here in Carstetter as well.
Carstetter behind the count, 0-1. Batted, that's going to be a pickoff over at first. Culpepper is going to be taken off the base paths. Young takes out the trash, and that's out number 3 here in the first. So Young able to face the minimum as we head to the second. Mariners trailing 1-0 here in Harwich. We'll be right back on the other side. You're listening to Harwich Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. We welcome you back into White House Field. Devin Dobek and Wyatt Kopelman along with you. Bottom three in the order for the Kettleers due up. The only three that haven't come up yet to face Zane Probst. Brock Willis, Teo Banks, and Jack Scanlon due up for the Kettles. They lead at 1-0 thanks to 2 hits in the first inning with 2 away. First pitch misses outside for a ball. It's 1-0 from Zane Probst. Willis standing in the left-hand side, grounds this one foul off to the right, and it's 1-1. Willis this season out of Holly Springs, North Carolina, and UNC Wilmington, hitting .353 across his 12, now 13 games for Cotuit, a .421 on-base percentage. A lot of Cotuit players above the 400 mark for OBP, exactly 6, that is, as it stands currently. 2-1. Is going to be lined into right field and into the glove of Devin Obie. They're going to rule it a catch. That one, an awkward way to haul it in, but the umpires got it right, and there's one away. A nice play by Devin Obie, who's been so fantastic on defense all season long.
Devin, what sunshine?
What sunshine?
What sunshine? I mean, Devin Obie able to stare right into the sun that time. You put your glove down and knock it down, of course. You know, couldn't get a top side of the glove on it, but of course, prevent it from making contact in right field, and he's been so heroic out there all season long. And it wasn't by any means the most acrobatic play he's made, but sometimes it doesn't even take that much movement to just get your team a little bit of life and get your team, your starter, through the inning that much quicker.
0-1 pitch is going to miss down low to make it 1-1. And yeah, we talk about how great Devin Obie's defense is, a big reason why he's an all-star. And you talked about Casey Sauke's throwout from right field maybe being the defensive highlight of the year, as that one's fouled off to make it 1-2. I'd have to raise you with Devin Obie's Willie Mays catch in center field earlier this week. I mean, a really great snag, over-the-shoulder basket catch right in front of the 400 mark on what was about to be a double or a triple. As this one's going to be cracked way out into the gap in the left center field, and under it is Carstetter to haul it in for out number 2. Off the bat, that one I thought was headed back to Cotuit, but it's knocked down, and so there'll be 2 away.
Yeah, get some soft ground ball contact in the first, and Cotuit knowing that it has to get insurance runs over a team hungry for some wins here in the Mariners on a 3-game losing streak. Has to be able to unleash the bats, and Teo Banks just getting a few short of the wall that time. Good run by Carstetter.
It's 0-1 now to Jack Scanlon, the catcher for these Cotuit Kettleers. Out of Miami, someone you're probably familiar with, as he grounds this one softly over to Seaver King. He'll flip on to first ever so nonchalantly, and it's a 1-2-3 second for Zane Probst. Mariners looking for some offense to help out their starter. They trail 1-0 heading to the bottom of the second on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. 4, 5, 6 due up for the Mariners. Carstetter, Guerra, and Obi set to kick things off here in the home half of the second. Carstetter's at-bat was postponed after Kalen Culpepper was picked right off of first base by Brian Young. Really nice effort that time to clear the base paths. Carstetter 0 for 4 in the loss yesterday with a strikeout, although he had some hard contact, had a base hit snagged away from him down the third base line on a diving play. In the game before, went 3 for 4, though, including a double in his first CCBL at-bat to go along with a pair of singles. Ahead in the count, 2-0. Here comes the pitch, and it's going to be grounded into right field for a base hit. Kevin Carstetter has the first Mariner knock of the ball game to start off the second inning here. And there's one on with nobody away for the first of 4 All-Stars in this Mariner order, beginning with Mason Guerra.
Kind of an uncharacteristic hit from Carstetter. Someone with that frame, you maybe expect him to see it driven to the wall, but able to just poke it past that 3-4 spot, a little seeing eye single, and you take it if you're the Mariners. You certainly know you need base runners, but now the question is, you get to the middle of the order, how much can you drive that in with the right-handed power you have?
Lefty on righty matchup. First pitch to Guerra misses way outside, and it's 1-0. Guerra 6'3", 197. Out of Oregon State, a Beaver, hitting .257 this season for the Mariners with a .325 on-base percentage. It's been a really nice campaign ever since he settled down here in Harwich. Pickoff attempt goes awry over at first base. Back in there safely with a slide is Carstetter. He's been a big pickup for Harwich when they desperately needed it. Continues to perform, hitting in the cleanup spot tonight, right in front of Guerra, the 1-0. Swing and a miss. Fastball at the top of the zone to make it 1-1. Guerra, a reserve in the All-Star game. Mariners sending 6 All-Star games, or 6 All-Stars to the game on Saturday. Pair of pitchers and 4 position guys. 1 starter and Brian Art, the catcher. That one misses outside to make it 2-1. Devin Obi on deck. Carstetter takes a walking lead off of first. They'll take another pickoff attempt and another really close play, but Marvick Gomez says Carstetter back in there safely. I mean, these are bang-bang plays. I tell you, Young's got a really good move. Come set, and then just for a second pauses to avoid the balk before going over to first. The pitch. Misses inside. It's 3-1 now to Guerra.
Yeah, it's interesting. Harwich has not been unreasonable on the base pass this season. Actually, the fewest number of times thieves have been caught this year, especially from first against Southpaws. But you wouldn't want to risk getting your second here, as the Mariners certainly need base runners early.
3-1. It's outside. It's a 5-pitch walk to Mason Guerra. He'll trot down to first, and now the Mariners starting to make a little something happen here with first and second, and nobody away. And I would say that a huge difference between the coaching styles of Steve Angler and Mike Roberts is Mike Roberts loves small ball. I'm not sure we've seen a bunt from a Mariner all season. Why? You can correct me if you remember an instance, but I don't think we've seen one, whereas Mike Roberts is dropping down 2 to 3 a game. Probably an ideal situation to do it will be now, first and second, nobody away. But I doubt that things will change just now as Obi makes me eat my words, lines one right into left for a base hit and loads up the bases. Now for Brian Arndt. Nowhere to put him with nobody away.
And as you comment on that, it's interesting because nobody motioned in a hit-and-run opportunity there either. You might have had one home to score with the relative speed that Carstetter offers, Guerra with a similar level behind him. But at the very least, you would have gotten one run in there. But they're trying to go conservative, not give away free outs on the base pass. And it certainly resembles a little bit of pride when you're trying to get past a Cotuit team, not give away those free outs and get some runs early. And now Cotuit pulling its infield here against Arndt.
Brian Arndt watches strike one drop in to make it 0-1, hitting .246 this season. The All-Stars also tallied 2 homers, which is good for third on the team behind Obi and Carrier. It's 0-1 now to the UNC Wilmington product as Young comes set. Here's the pitch. Leaves it inside, and it's 1-1. Nobody away here in inning number 2. Carstetter at third with a single. Mason Guerra on second after his walk, and Devin Obi on first. A lot of speed on the bases. Harwich looking to jump out to the early lead as they trail 1-0. Arndt lifts this one out to deep left field. Going back is Teo Banks, close to the wall, and he rams into the catch. Did not make the play. In to score is Carstetter. Guerra right behind him. And what was almost a sensational grab by Teo Banks turns into a 2-run double for the Mariners, who now lead it 2-1. Brian Arndt about a push-up away from a grand slam as that one clangs off the wall, and the Mariners with their third hit of the inning to make it 2-1 Harwich.
And against a team with a strong strikeout to walk ratio as well, in addition to the ground ball contact that Young has got here in his pitching debut in the league. You wondered how soon the Mariners would take to really be aggressive with their bats and try and put some pressure on the southpaw here. And Arndt probably would have had a home run in a couple of other ballparks, but still you take the 2-run double, and it has been that kind of season for Brian Arndt.
Picks up RBIs number 8 and 9 this season. First pitch now to Camarillo is lined into center field for a base hit. In to score easily is Obi. Brian Arndt going to be held up at third, and it's overran by the center fielder Matheson. As, wow, Camarillo advancing into second, clears the bases, and it's 4-1 Harwich. A burst of offense out of nowhere with nobody away in the second inning. What a ball game thus far, Wyatt, for the Mariners, as they've shown some serious life here against the rookie on the mound.
And it seems as if Cotuit just is a little bit flustered right now and just trying to make some routine plays. Harwich not holding back on the base pass aside from the missed hit and run opportunity, but again, you're driving in runs, you're able to get your lineup going and set up an opportunity here for Jacob Humphreys, still none away, less pressure here.
Now credit an error to Matheson as he overran the ball in center field that allowed Camarillo to advance to second and Arndt to come in to score. So an E8 here to kind of enhance the Cotuit woes. It's 1-0 now to the 9-hitter and Humphrey, who we haven't seen in quite some time, as he lifts this one out in the left field. Banks coming in, and he will make that catch in his back pocket for out number 1.
I mean, this is a revelation for a Mariners team that has certainly had a certain degree of struggle with RBI production over its last 5 games. You consider how Harwich has the 3rd fewest RBIs in the Cape Cod Baseball League as well. Relatively controlling the strikeouts, but just to be able to get this continuous contact really shows a change in perception here against a Cotuit team that had its number over at Lowell Park.
Leadoff hitter Ethan Anderson now will lift one out into center field. Going out is Matheson, and he will make the catch. Tagging up, heading into third is Camarillo. The play will not be in time. A sacrifice hit, or rather fly, for Ethan Anderson to advance Camarillo down to third. And the Mariners now 90 feet away from making it a 5-1 ball game.
Well, Seaver King now had a walk back of the first, and of course someone who always shows a great deal of reservation but also aggression. That balance is really hard to find sometimes with guys you're looking to start in the top third of your card, and someone who could certainly drive in a run here with 2 away.
King on the day reached on a walk in his first at-bat back in the first. He's behind the count 0-1 after a foul ball. Harwich, just showing signs of offense that we've been waiting for the last couple weeks, and this is how good this lineup can be. Just so difficult with all the turnover and inconsistencies. But here comes the 0-1 pitch now to King. And it's looped right in there for a strike, a pitch I'm sure he would have liked to have back to hit. Fooled them on the breaking ball, and it's 0-2. And King knows when it's a strike. You'll see him violently nod, almost agreeing with the umpire before he's even called it a strike. 0-2 is going to be a broken bat, ball back to the pitcher in Young, and it's flipped on to first, and what probably would have been a base hit if the bat didn't fail him. Ends the inning, but the Mariners strike for 4 runs, fueled by 4 hits, and they lead it now 4-1, heading into the third. What a turn of events as the top-seeded Kettleers trail in this one. They're coming back up in the third. We'll be back on the other side of the Harwich Mariners YouTube network.
Nothing says summer like Cape Cod baseball. Rooted in rich tradition and top collegiate talent, the Cape Cod Baseball League has been delighting fans and families for 100 years. Mark your calendars. The 2023 Cape Cod Baseball League All-Star Game takes place on July 22nd at 6 p.m. at White House Field in Harwich. Plan ahead and arrive at White House Field early to experience family-friendly festivities throughout the day.
Back here for the third inning of action as the Mariners have jumped out to a 4-1 lead after a strong second inning fueled by 4 hits. What an inning it was to be a Mariner fan, one that they've been desperately holding out for, as Cotuit will flip the lineup card over for the first time with Cole Mathis set to get things going here in inning number 3. Zane Probst now with a 3-run cushion, something that these Mariners pitchers have been dreaming about the last couple weeks. First pitch misses outside to make it 1-0. Mathis, the All-Star, struck out swinging back in inning number 1. Next pitch is going to be popped up out in a shallow left field. Coming in is going to be Carstetter, and he's under it to make the grab for out number 1. Carter Matheson's turn. The center fielder grounded out to second back in the first inning. Matheson scored or drove in runs in 39 games at Indiana this season. For Cotuit, he's had 7 RBIs, 18 walks, and 5 stolen bases while batting .338. Fouls off the first pitch he sees to make it 0-1. Last game, he went 2 for 5 versus Chatham. But yeah, a tremendous player up and down the board for Indiana as he swings and misses to make it 0-2. Had 21 multi-hit games. Just one of 4 300 hitters on the squad, and he also tallied 49 runs batted in. 0-2, misses inside to make it 1-2. Grant Norris also due up in the inning. 1-2. He is going to be chopped but foul off to the right. And so we'll do it again.
Tough Cotuit Kettleers hitters in the top of this order. And I think if you're Probst, you're getting your first start on the season, and you're trying to get this team to a convincing win already with a 3-run cushion here in the early goings going into the All-Star break. Of course, Harwich has to go to Hyannis tomorrow. You want to get a quick 1-2-3 inning here.
1-2, checked his swing. Yes, he did. So says the home plate umpire and William Bowers, and he rings up Carter Matheson. Strikeout number 2 for Zane Probst, and there's 2 away here in the third. Tell you, baseball's got to be fun for the Mariners when all of a sudden they're just putting together clean innings and runs on offense.
Still a long way to go here. Cotuit, a team that certainly didn't give up last and actually probably faced its biggest lesson on the season if it's looking to win yet another Cape Cod Baseball Championship for Mike Roberts. He's collected a few. He had one back in 2019. Of course, just half of the number that Scott Pickler has was 6 over at Yarmouth Dennis, but you just have to consider that he's got the continuity, and you want to be able to learn from games last night when you're able to pull away late after a hefty number of unanswered runs from a team struggling in the Chatham Anglers over in the East Division.
A ball and a strike now to Grant Norris as he swings and misses to make it 1-2. And yeah, Cotuit undoubtedly, unanimously, the most storied franchise in the Cape Cod Baseball League. 17 championships for the Kettleers in their existence. They've just been a powerhouse as the 1-2's popped up out in a foul territory. On the right side, Anderson chasing into the fencing, and it will escape out of play. Brian Arndt making a rare back-to-back starting appearance behind the plate. Caught yesterday against the Falmouth Commodores, and now retakes his place behind home plate today. Similar to the rarity of me doing back-to-back 6 innings on play-by-play. You'll have the next 2 games, of course, Wyatt. As the 1-2's cut on a miss, Zane Probst roaring as he walks off the mound with some swagger. A 1-2-3 third as the Mariners lead this one 4-1. We'll take a quick break and be back for the home half of the third on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Into the third we go. Kalen Culpepper, the only batter who didn't get a chance in the second inning for Harwich, digs in as they lead this one 4-1. Young still out there as he floats in a strike at the top of the zone to make it 0-1. Culpepper grounded into a fielder's choice back in the first, went on to be picked off at first base to end the inning in what was a face the minimum bid for Brian Young. Next pitch is bounced right in front of home plate, and it's 1-1. Mariners thus far, 4 runs on 4 hits with no errors. Cotuit 1 run on 2 hits with an error. And I tell you, if you told me those box scores this early on, I would have called you crazy if you said Harwich was the team in the driver's seat with the offense this early on. They've just been phenomenal. Their best offensive start in quite some time. 1-2 the count now. I mean, I think offense this early would have to date back to that Chatham game, the 7-6 win in which they rattled off, I think, 6 in an inning in the second or the third.
Still a single game high, too.
Yeah.
Grand slam from Devin Obie.
And then as the rest of the game went on to prove, I think they had 1 hit the rest of the game after that and 1 run, and they eked out a 7-6 win against the Anglers. It's 2-2 to Culpepper. Hopefully Harwich can keep their pedal to the metal here. 2-2. Chopped off the leg of Culpepper, and so we'll stay there at 2-2.
What's the old adage that goes? Time heals all wounds. You know, sometimes it just takes 24 hours. Actually saw the Mariners going with I.O. here today before they took batting practice to make sure that they were mentally sharp as much as they were tactically on the infield. But I found that interesting here today. Usually see Harwich at White House Field take batting practice first.
2 balls, 2 strikes. And the pitch. Swing and a miss. Culpepper went chasing out on the outer part of the plate, and so that will be a strikeout for Young. His second of the ball game, and Culpepper's the first victim here in the third.
Saw Dominic Pacone yesterday go 5 full innings in his second start on the season. Finally was able to settle in, got actually to strike out the side in the 5th inning, and certainly looked dominant. Not always about how you start, but how you finish, and that might just be the case here for the Southpaw and Young out of Ryder. Starting to get that chase pitch going, too.
First pitch misses down low for a ball. It's 1-0. Carstetter started that big second inning with a single on what would be 4 hits for the Mariners and 4 runs. Scored the first of those to tie the ball game. 1-0 pitch. Misses inside, and it's 2-0 now to the Arizona State Sun Devil. Carstetter has 4 hits for the M's through just 2+ games, the plus being today. As he awaits the hitter's count and the 2-0 from Young. Misses outside the breaking ball, and it's 3-0. Didn't really break that time, actually. Mason Guerra on deck. One away here, and the base is empty in the third inning. The pitch. In there for a strike at the knees, and it's 3-1. I mean, the vibes are high today, Wyatt. It's been a while since White House has had some good vibes. The Mariners with an early lead, and let alone the weather. I mean, it's just been horrible weather the last few weeks. Muggy and sticky and wet, as that one will be ball four. A borderline pitch just misses outside, and Carstetter trots down to first base with a one-out walk.
You could kind of tell there in that kind of battle, Young to a big bopper like Carstetter was either looking to pitch away and try and make him lunge or just go low, and really didn't achieve that slider. The fastball just tried to get him to bite at, and a good sense of discipline that time from Carstetter, hitting the cleanup spot today as well.
Mason Guerra digs back in. He walked and came around to score in the second inning. Pitch to him is going to miss down low for a ball. It's 1-0. Fans starting to file in. A 4:45 start. I apologize for the lie at the end of the game last night. We were expecting a 6:30 start till we found out at about 10 p.m. last night. But the lights should be up and running for the All-Star game. So at least we were able to figure that out. 2 balls, no strikes to Guerra, and that'll draw out Mike Roberts to have a conversation with his starter in Young.
As that 4-pitch arsenal, we've seen mostly slider fastball here today. Of course, you're trying to wonder if you're facing this righty-heavy lineup as a lefty, what do you try and go to? Do you go to pitch maybe that you're certainly a little bit more confident, that has a little bit more movement, or do you go something to try and throw off some of the hitters here who have been relatively strikeout prone for this Harwich lineup? And I think if you're Roberts here, you're just going over mechanics. Looks like the home plate umpire Bauer is going to go try and break this up.
Roberts, of course, we've talked about his gamesmanship over and over again, probably drawing time for some arms to get loose here. He does not take kindly to being asked to end his mound meetings, as he's still proceeding to get a few last words in before being motioned off the hill. Roberts, a guy who has no problem using 5-6 pitchers in a ball game, really just does everything to try and win day in and day out, and that's led to the Kettleers' success over the last half-decade. Here comes the 2-0 pitch to Guerra as we're back underway, and it's going to miss inside 3-0. And kind of bizarre to call a mound visit in the middle of an at-bat. You don't see that too much, but Mike Roberts, one of the few managers in the league that will do that. Typically will wait for the next batter, but he had something burning on his mind as he gives a 4-pitch walk to Guerra, who's now been given 2 free tickets down to first base. Carstetter bumps up to second. And Roberts not really sure what to do with himself over there by the first base dugout.
I mean, you think back to that 11-game hitting streak Guerra did to start the season, now earning his 9th walk in the season, 2 here. And as a matter of fact, a new season high as well for Guerra. Good to see him getting on base here in a different way.
Devin Obie digs in, and he grounds this one over the shortstop Haskins to second for 1, on to first, and it's in time. A 6-4-3 double play to wrap up the third inning. Brian Young gets exactly what the doctor ordered that time to end what was looking to be another big offensive inning for the Mariners. They still lead it 4-1, heading to the middle third of the ball game. We'll step aside and be back here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Into the fourth inning we go, and for the middle third of the ball game, as the Mariners lead this one 4-1, I'll pass play-by-play duties back over to my partner, Wyatt Kopelman. Wyatt, take it away.
Well, Devin, the Mariners with a comforting 4-1 lead here against the best team in the Cape Cod Baseball League in the Cotuit Kettleers. Zane Probst back on the mound for his fourth inning of his start. Set to face Danny Corona Jr., James McCoy, Trevor Haskins, the middle third of the order. Probst sending Cotuit down in order back in the third. So 1 ball and 1 strike here to the Brooklyn, New York native in Corona Jr. Former Harwich Mariners outfielder as well, as he chops this one foul back behind home plate. Now 1 and 2 as they'll have to protect. Signal to center field back in the first, helped Wake Forest get to its latest College World Series appearance. Did not make the College World Series final. That was between Florida and LSU. A 2-strike pitch, a check swing, and Jerry Martinez, a third base umpire, says he held up. Harwich with 4 runs back in the second, 4 hits and an error, giving the Mariners a little bit of almost unlikely momentum, as this one is lofted out towards right center field. Moving to his left, Humphrey, as the UMass Lowell product, making his return to lineup here today, puts it away for the first out here in the fourth.
And that was kind of a cool sequence. We didn't really touch on it, but all the Mariners involved between the battery and Danny Corona from last year's team. I mean, granted, you have 2 current Mariners, but yeah, Zane Probst, Brian Art, and Danny Corona all in Harwich last summer. So kind of funny to see them in different uniforms and trying to plot against the other.
And all on the cusp of such great collegiate and professional careers as well. You consider the numbers that Corona had this past season at Wake Forest, in which he hit .285 with 10 doubles, 13 home runs, helped Wake Forest get a school record 54 wins under Tom Walter. 0-1 zips high here to James McCoy, the redshirt freshman out of Kentucky. So 1 away here for Zane Probst, has retired now 8 in a row here. This is the start that Probst needed here out of Alabama. His teammate from Alabama here with the Harwich Mariners as well, and Aiden Moza set to pitch in the All-Star game Saturday night. But first, a trying win here against the Cotuit Kettleers. This one shot out towards left field, moving over to his left. Carstetter, and the State College of Florida transfer, is able to make the catch on the line. Second out here, boy, the defense is really helping Zane Probst aside from those 3 strikeouts.
Yeah, no, they've been fantastic, and you got to credit Probst as well. He's been able to get the high pop-ups that give his fielders time to get under him, some ground balls here and there. He's really settled down since that first inning. Actually has faced the minimum since then. 8 batters ever since inning number 1. Looking for 3 straight 1-2-3 innings right here.
Over to the middle infielder and Trevor Haskins. Speaking of the College World Series, as Marvin Gomez, the first base umpire, says he checked and held. Stanford in its 3rd straight College World Series this past season, similar to Wake Forest with national championship aspirations. 44-20, the Cardinal went. And in his 2nd season with the Cardinal, Haskins 2 for 24 as he lobs this one out towards center field. Moving to his right, Humphrey, he makes the catch on a line out. And it's another 1-2-3 job here for the right-hander out of Alabama in Zane Probst, a second-year Mariners pitcher, now retiring 10 straight here as the Mariners have a 4-1 lead. No runs, no hits, no errors, and none left on here for the Cotuit Kettleers. We'll step away. This is Harwich Mariners baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. So Zane Probst, the starter for the Harwich Mariners, retiring 10 in a row, despite giving up the game's first hit with a run on 2 hits to the Cotuit Kettleers back in the first, settling nicely, getting some support from his lineup as well. The Mariners getting their first 4 runs on 4 hits in the second. Now over to Brian Arndt, the 7-hole hitter out of UNC Wilmington, as he just takes a breaking ball outside. Still on the mound here, Brian Young, the left-handed hurler, making his debut from Ryder here today. It gave that program 2 quality starts in the postseason. One in the MAAC tournament and then one against Duke in a regional before Duke eventually moved on and faced the Virginia Cavaliers. Their ACC Coastal Division foe was a very entertaining super regional, went 3 games. Probably the best you can get before more of the action unfolds in Omaha, Nebraska at the College World Series. 1-1 here to Arndt as he watches it low. Currently leading the Mariners on a 10-game on-base streak, something that the Harwich lineup has leaned on when they need base runners. But averaging just about 2.5 runs, or RBIs per game for that matter, it has been more than just looking to particular figures to get this going. So it'll be 2-2 here to the Holly Springs, North Carolina native in Arndt. And that 2-run double to left field back in the second. Opportunity here to give the Mariners, start the new streak here for the Mariners with Ali Camarillo due up, and the Harwich Mariners 10-6-1 here at home this season. Most of those wins in that 5-game win streak before the end of the first half came from their wins here at home. Hard to believe that it's already been almost a month since Kennedy Jones hit that walk-off single against the Cotuit Kettleers as well for a defining second win in the season series. And Harwich right now is just trying to hold on to its 3-run lead for as long as possible, if not stretch it here. Payoff offering is foul back. Disciplined at bat here from Brian Arndt, aggressive as well. So you need something out of the bottom of the order. You turn to Brian Arndt, the second-year Harwich Mariners catcher. One for 3 in the 5-run loss to Falmouth last night. Mariners having to turn the page quickly here and face the best team in the Cape Cod Baseball League as Arndt lost at foul.
Yeah, but as we've mentioned, the Mariners have taken 2 of 3. They played at Lowell Park, which was a 6-1 loss most recently, fueled by 5 unearned runs. It could have been a 1-1 game, but Harwich gave up 5 unearned runs, and Cotuit took that one 6-1. Get more into the previous matchup shortly.
That one just goes low. Arndt holds up again, and he earns his first walk on the day as he remains 1 for 1 with a leadoff walk here, as the Mariners certainly finding their way on base, meanwhile holding Cotuit to just 2 hits.
Absolutely, and just circling back, one of the 2 walk-off wins against the one of the 2 walk-off wins at White House this season came against the Kettleers, a 3-2 victory for the Mariners. That was a thrilling game. I believe Kennedy Jones hit that walk-off, and then Game 1 was a 9-4 victory out in Cotuit. Seaver King, I believe that was his 4 or 5 hit game.
This one shot out towards right field, and it's through for a base hit. Arndt fast around second and into third as he gets the stop sign from the third base coach and Mark Tebow. Ali Camarillo keeping the line moving here. The Mariners still with none away against the left-handed starter in Young, and they have traffic again with an opportunity for Jacob Humphrey to bring one more.
And Young's going to be on a really short leash, but how about Ali Camarillo? I mean, ever since being named an All-Star, he's just been on, I want what he's having, basically what I'm saying. 3rd multi-hit game in a row. He went 2 for 3 back against Wareham, and then went 2 for 3 the next day. RBIs in that ball game, which was the 5-5 tie against Hyannis.
Pickoff attempt back over at first. It's pretty close, but Camarillo, the speedy middle infield. Meanwhile, Jacob Humphrey back in the lineup here today has faced mostly the task of being at second or in center this season. Last played in that 12-0 home loss to Orleans, in which the Mariners only provided 1 hit. 7 hits, 4 RBIs over his last 10 games, a perfect one to post an RBI here. Staying disciplined here as it goes to 1-1 to the Standish, Maine native. Flight out to left field back in the second. And now you see here Devin Cotuit pulling its defense to the left side, similarly to what it's done with Brian Arndt here to try and play that pull hit. Another try from the southpaw and Young unsuccessful. So that right side of the infield is wide open here for Humphrey. Also has 14 walks on the season from his 5 RBIs. Here's a 1-1 try. It's grounded over towards the left side. Corona Jr. to second for 1. The throw on to first. He's safe, and 1 comes across to score as Brian Arndt able to score on the infield single, and the Mariners now have a 4-run lead over the Cape Cod League leading Cotuit Kettleers at 5-1.
Yeah, and that works. Sacrifice the out to take the run. Good hustle from Humphrey, the fastest Mariner. Arguably, that is. Daniel Rivera could probably give him a run for his money, but really nice job there to get the run in. Even if it does mean the out, you extend your lead, and now you got speed on the base paths. Team high, 12 stolen bases for Jacob Humphrey. That's 1 off the league lead held by Derek Bender.
Ethan Anderson chops it over towards the left side. Corona again to second, and it goes wide. Staying at second will be Humphrey, a wise decision that time. And what should be marked down as an error. We'll see how that one will be scored. The Kettleers already with an error here today. And it is an error on the third baseman in Corona as he missed the throw at second, and that'll draw out Mike Roberts for a call to the bullpen here. Well, Harwich certainly threatening once again here in the 4th after getting 4 runs in the 2nd, as this will be the day here for Brian Young out of Ryder. 5-1 lead for the Harwich Mariners over the Cotuit Kettleers. Will step away here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. A new pitcher into the ball game out of Harvard, number 45, Will Jacobson. He stands at 6'1", 210, the San Francisco, California native, just pitching in 1 game. No decision there, and just 1/3 of an innings served. Gave up 3 hits, no earned runs, as Jacobson has a tall task here with runners on first and second. Humphrey over at second on the E5, Anderson reaching safely. And after Humphrey reached on a fielder's choice, he only has 1 out to work with, set to face one of the best Mariners hitters this season before and after he returned from the Team USA Collegiate National Team in Seaver King. Immediately out of the stretch here as he deals a slider low and away. That's something King's not even going to think twice about for ball number 1.
And yeah, just going back to that error by Danny Corona, just a really poor decision that time. I mean, Humphrey was practically on second base. He tried to rush the throw and fired it as hard as he could. And when you tend to do that, it's not accurate. That's why it got launched into right field. Should have just taken the out at first base. But Harwich will take it. Finally, some mistakes going in their favor.
There's a swing and a miss here from King. Just out of Wingate Division II baseball this past season, had a monstrous on-base streak in which he was able to rally off 47 consecutive games. Seaver King certainly looking to capitalize here. A 45-game hit streak for that matter. Dominated at the D2 level. As he swings and misses, he'll have to protect here. I was talking with him about just the meaning of playing for Team USA next to some of the best talent in the country, not to mention the two-way player out of Florida and Jack Caglione, who had a monstrous season down in Gainesville of the SEC. Just really appreciative of the time that he's able to spend, just also getting to face a little bit more unconventional talent at the international level and facing Chinese Taipei as well as Japan. Big pitch here for King as he watches it low. Really excited to go off to Wake Forest and play for Tom Walter, and we'll be set to face some of the best talent in the country in the ACC and also join the Harwich closer in Cole Rowland as well, who has a save on the season to this point. Cole out of Duxbury, Massachusetts, Seaver out of Atlanta, Georgia. 2-2, both runners go, and no back pick from Scanlon down to third or second. A double steal there for the Mariners, and still with one away, they have more to work with here, ahead 5-1.
Yeah, how about this? 2 runners in scoring position for your best hitter in the lineup. Now make it hurt. You'll take a walk as well. Put up Kalen Culpepper. One away, a lot of ways to score runs left in this inning.
King on the season hitting .423. Had 2 of the Mariners' 4 singles in that 5-run loss last night at Falmouth. As it goes way outside here. A little bit of struggle on the command thus far for the Harvard reliever and Will Jacobson as he works with ducks on the pond.
There you go. Now you got bases loaded for Culpepper, another chance to do damage. Last time Harwich had the bases loaded in this game, Brian Arndt ripped a double out into the gap. Was able to score 2, and he would go along to score as well. So here we go. Big chance to do damage. And the infielder is being summoned in by Mike Roberts.
And in his biggest game here since returning from the collegiate national team, Culpepper, despite going 0 for 3 last night, a chance to drive in 2 with 3 RBIs on the season. Now Harwich towards the top of the lineup, showing a little bit of conservation, making Jacobson go to them. They've seen his slider by now, especially with King winning the full count battle, able to fill the vacant base here. Harwich getting 4 runs in the bottom of the second and getting 1 here in the 4th as well. Unsuccessful on a fastball. Culpepper quickly ahead in the count here, 2 balls, no strikes. Brian Arndt scoring on the 5-4 fielder's choice. Jacob Humphrey getting into second on the E5 from Danny Corona, the former Harwich Mariners infielder last season. Just a big spot here for the Mariners to try and stretch their lead over the best in the Cape Cod League in the Kettleers. A Cotuit team with the 4th lowest ERA in the Cape Cod Baseball League, just hovering at around 4.1. Also has a strikeout to walk ratio of just under 2.2. But strikeouts have been a rarity here tonight for the Mariners lineup, something that certainly pleasing, you'd have to imagine, for Steve Angler, as Culpepper is able to walk in a run here, and Jacobson seriously struggling in order to face arguably the best part of this lineup.
Yeah, and that's just as good as a hit. Works out well. You extend your lead, and still just 1 away here. Karstetter, who's been swinging a hot bat with a chance to really pile it on. Cotuit not used to being down in this fashion. Mike Roberts has got his head in his hands over in the dugout. He can't believe it. I mean, you think about them blowing a 10-run lead yesterday and now behind to a incredibly struggling team who's lost 14 in their last 19. Cannot be easy.
This one bounced here to the Arizona State product in Kevin Karstetter. One for one here today with a leadoff single to right field back in the second, scored on a 2-run double from Brian Arndt. Set to go to the All-Star game as well. The Holly Springs, North Carolina native has been very stable in the lineup here for Steve Angler. Picked up his 400th win earlier this year in the first week of the season. That one low again. Jacobson really struggling with that fastball and certainly has to get some ground ball contact. His battery mate Jack Scanlon out of Miami will try and calm him down here. Mike Roberts having a couple of words already with the starter and Young.
Yeah, it's just been really tough control-wise And you can't fall behind to hitters, especially in the heart of the order. I mean, they're going to make you pay. These are the guys you got to attack and find ways to let them either put the ball in play or strike them out. And, yeah, it's just been a really tough go for the reliever. And Jacobson, really no control of the zone, no feel out there. And Harwich looking to continue adding to their 5-run margin.
So Anderson on third, King on second, Culpepper on first on a bases-loaded RBI walk from Kalen Culpepper, his 4th RBI in the season. This one line back as it goes to 2-1. A Cotuit team, Devin, that is averaging just under 4.5 strikeouts issued, or walks issued per game for that matter. Strikeouts have also not been too much of a commodity or a frequently seen out here for this pitching staff. A 4.13 ERA as mentioned. Huge jam for Jacobson to work out of, as Carstetter took a huge hack and more of that. It's 2-2.
That was a hack and a half. I mean, he fell all the way down to his knee there, slipped, planted so hard. Honestly, could have hurt himself. He swung so much out of his shoes.
Carstetter, formerly of State College of Florida. 2-2 is lofted over towards the right side foul. Staying alive here in this one, trying to draw in at least one more as the Mariners have 2 here in the bottom of the 4th. 1 run before the pitching change. 5-4 RBI fielder's choice, and then a bases-loaded walk. Jacob Humphrey, the center fielder, scored. Carstetter at 6'3", 215, with the Mariners head 6-1. Looking to mix in some discipline. He does that there as the count runs full against Jacobson. Yet to get an out here in his 2nd relief outing on the season. But Carstetter chose to play at the junior college level, played 3 years for the State College of Florida Manatees down in Lakeland. Excited to get out to the desert into Arizona State as he loops it out towards right field, moving back McCoy, the right fielder. He makes the catch, tagging from third. One and Ethan Anderson as he scores, and it's just in the nick of time as well. The Mariners needing every run they can get, and what was an excellent relay throw that time, Anderson just in by a dime.
Yeah, it really was a good throw and a tough play for McCoy to make. Battling the sun, he got a late break on the ball, was able to haul it in, and then made it way closer than it should have been with a seed to the plate. Mariners will take the run, though, by the skin of their teeth.
So a sacrifice fly here for Carstetter. And kind of reminds you a little bit of last night. We were talking about a moment ago, Casey Sauke with that laser, or that seed as you term it, from right field. It was an excellent play at the plate. But Sauke not with the team here today. Former set of Virginia. Set to go back this season after Virginia fell short in the College World Series as Mason Guerra, the Oregon State product, takes a fastball outside. Guerra here today with a pair of walks, a new season high. Guerra has been all about the contact hitting, but a walk, as you said, you would take it as a hit here with 2 outs. First a pickoff attempt from Jacobson. Mariners averaging just about 2.5 RBIs per game. Still have 5 home runs in their last 10 games. But they need Guerra to be able to fulfill here. Gave the Mariners a late solo home run in their 4-1 win against Wareham. So runners on the corners, 2 away. Jacobson just needing 1 more. The runner and Culpepper takes off, and there'll be no throw down to second. Mariners have gotten really aggressive aside from not employing a hit-and-run opportunity earlier in this one, as it's a 7-1 lead, and Guerra now has a chance to be able to at least occupy an open bag.
Yeah, this is working out well. Base opens up, but chance for one of your best hitters to do damage once again.
Harwich last night was in dire need of runs late, and it had the chance with 2 runners in scoring position on different instances in the middle innings to try and at least get on the board against a Falmouth team that had begun to pick it up in the Cape Cod West Division standings, as Guerra takes it outside to get back ahead in the count. So a sacrifice fly, a bases-loaded walk in the inning that started with the 5-4 fielder's choice to score one of 3 Mariners runs, has Harwich ahead 7-1 on a Cotuit team that just tied at 12 last night in 8 innings with the Chatham Anglers. That one just at the knees as it's back to 2-2. So Guerra still looking for his first hit here with King on third and Culpepper on second. Definitely threats to run on contact here. Jacobson certainly not finding much command otherwise here.
8th batter in the inning, Mason Guerra. Obi, the only one who hasn't hit in this inning. He's on deck. Mariners had an 8-batter inning in the second as well. They've really just been filing through the order.
Can Guerra extend the inning here with the Mariners ahead 7-1? 5 hits here for Harwich. 4 of them back in the second. Now Jacobson set, and he deals it way low, and it gets away from the catcher, and Scanlon coming across to almost score, and we won't get there in time as Seaver King tried to take advantage of what was about set to be a wild pitch. And it was a great block by Scanlon as he was able to make the tag out at home. Seaver King just not there, as the Mariners still score 3 here in the 4th inning. They take a 7-1 lead going into the 5th inning. 3 runs on 1 hit, 1 error, and 2 left on. The Harwich Mariners looking to keep their lead alive with Zane Probst back on the mound. We'll step away on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. So the Mariners get an extra 3 runs to cushion their lead for Zane Probst, the right-hander out of Alabama, in his first start here today. Set to face the lower third of the Cotuit order in Brock Wills, Teo Banks, Jack Scanlon, a team that only got 2 hits back in the first inning and has gone down in order since, as this one is lofted back foul. Harwich trailed with an RBI base hit from Danny Corona Jr., the third baseman, with 2 outs back in the first. It was set to be a 1-2-3 job for Probst, but he has settled in quite nicely. 0-2 is spiked to the right side, moving over to his left Obi, and it just hooks foul.
That one had home run distance, went over the fence just to the right of the pole. Mariners catch a break, and all smiles from Brock Willis.
Interesting, the bullpen catcher down the right side for the Kettleers entering tonight at 22-9-1. They actually motioned for a headset to actually review. Of course, no video review available here in the Cape Cod Baseball League.
In no world in which it was fair.
No way it was fair. This one lofted to the left side, this time foul. But you're right, had home run distance for a Cotuit team that leads the Cape Cod Baseball League in home runs. So Zane Probst still has work ahead of him here. Interesting to see who begins to get loose for the Mariners, as Probst may or may not be running on borrowed time here. This one just high to Brock Wills. 1-2 as he flied out to right field back in the first, or in the second, I should say. Colin Caldwell, the southpaw out of Georgia, beginning to get loose. As 1-2 is bounced to the left side. Culpepper sits back on it for a moment. Now zips it over to first, not in time.
He's got a cannon, though. I got to tell you, I mean, he really just fired that thing like a pitcher across the diamond.
Well, you have to wonder the velocity on that from the glove of Culpepper as the Kansas State product was unable to get it to first in time where Anderson was waiting. It's a single to third. And after what was 10 straight retired from the right-hander out of Alabama in Probst, first base runner for Cotuit since the 2-out mark back in the first in which James McCoy, the right fielder, singled to center field. As that forces Probst to work out of the stretch here to face Teo Banks, the left fielder. Also 0 for 1 today on the victim of a flyout. Good stop that time by the UNC Wilmington catcher in Brian Arntz. Cotuit atop of the Cape Cod West Division standings at 22-9-1. Still has a few wins over Hyannis, a team that has begun to get hot. And that is where the Harwich Mariners will go tomorrow over to McKeon Park. There's a cut and a miss on a gorgeous slider as it goes to 1-1. So for Banks, the sophomore at 6'2", $195 out of Tulane. Hitting 175 with 9 RBIs, 6 walks this season for the Kettleers. Actually helped Tulane get to its first American Athletic Conference championship as a 7 seed this past year. Had to go through a whole bunch of higher seeded teams in order to get that, as I'm sure you can imagine. Hit 301 for the third best batting average in his second season at Tulane over in Louisiana. 18 home runs to lead the Green Wave. Went to the NCAA tournament as well. Here's a try over to second, and the second baseman King unable to lunge for it in time. It's a stolen base here for Brock Wills, taking advantage.
And that's just a really bad break. No one was on the bag for Brian Arndt. I mean, he threw the ball perfectly. If someone was on the bag, it probably would have been an out. But King cutting all the way across to try and get there in time. Had his momentum carrying him one way while the runner was coming in the opposite and couldn't get the tag on in time. Stolen base for Willis.
The Mariners have looked to Arndt as a consistent battery mate this season. So Ali Camarillo, Kalen Culpepper still over at second base trying to look into what might have happened to the actual base itself. I think they're trying to dig enough of a hole for it to actually be reintegrated into the ground. Mark Thibault, the third base coach, also going out to have a closer look at it.
Yeah, he lives for this. He's really good at putting the bases in.
Maintenance is what he does. You see him doing a lot of field striping and circling as well across the infield and the outfields long before batting practice materializes here. Still trying to get that in there. Looks like they have some leverage on it. So still none away here and a runner in scoring position in Wills. Reaching for the first time here, the designated hitter. Teo Banks now having to protect here against Zane Probst. Mariners this season have allowed 39 stolen bases now, still in the bottom half of the league. 1-2 is lined over to the left side. Camarillo with a half leap at the lip of the outfield grass. He makes the catch. And Ali Camarillo certainly showing a great deal of perseverance at that point in order to make the relatively athletic grab, as there's one away.
That works out nicely. Runner is forced to stay put, and it makes it that much more difficult to score now, even though they're in scoring position.
So not a ton of pressure here for Zane Probst, the right-hander, getting his first start. Jerry Martinez, the third base umpire, calling for time as Jack Scanlon digs in for the second time here today. Retired on a 4-3 ground out as he shoots this one foul to the right side. 7 runs for the Mariners, 4 in the second on 4 hits and an error. Got 3 more in the bottom of the fourth on just 1 hit and another error against the Cotuit team that has been relatively susceptible to errors despite having the third best fielding percentage in the Cape Cod Baseball League. Meanwhile, Scanlon, in his second game here for the Kettleers, went 1 for 3 with an RBI in his debut against Bourne. So he takes a changeup on the outer corner. Quickly 0-2 here to the Sloatsburg, New York native. Played for a Miami team as one of its second-string catchers that lost its second straight home regional down in Coral Gables, Florida this past season. Oregon transfer as well. Staying disciplined here as he draws it to 1-2 against Probst. Really began to settle in, moving from the second to the fourth after he faced 6 in the first. Gave up an RBI hit, but was able to keep the damage there. There's a slider just missing at the letters. It's a new count, 2-2. In his first season at Miami, Scanlon was 6 hits, 5 RBIs in 27 games. Looks for momentum here. Stays alive in the count instead as it goes to 3-2. Cotuit not out of this one. Certainly learned a lot from its 12-12 tie against the Chatham Anglers. Now at 9-19-2 on the season, drawing their second tie last night.
Colin Caldwell up in the pen.
Waiting to see what happens here as Probst deals a fastball taken high as it gets called. Looking out number 2 here for Zane Probst, the right-handed reliever, as a runner in scoring position. Will stays at put.
Yeah, big pitch that time from Probst. Just painted the corner. A pitcher's pitch. Tough to hit, especially for Scanlon on the upper and outer part of the plate. And he's sent packing. Probst, it's pretty impressive he's been able to keep himself in check after that long 4th inning that Harwich had on offense. To be able to come back out and pitch is not an easy task.
This one bounced to the left side for Culpepper, moving quickly. Fires onto first in time. So after an infield single for the first base runner for Cotuit since all the way back in the first inning, Probst settles in again and he retires 3 straight, a line out, a strikeout looking, and a 5-3 putout. The Mariners still leading 7-1 here from White House Field. We'll take a short break. This is Harwich Mariners baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Harwich with a commanding 7-1 lead over the best team, the Cape Cod Baseball League, in the Cotuit Kettleers. Harwich looking for its 15th win. Cotuit at 22-9-1, taking its first tie against the Chatham Anglers at Lowell Park last night. 12 runs apiece as the game was called due to darkness after the 8th inning. Devin Obie, the outfielder out of Duke, steps in and takes it on the inner half for strike number 1. Well, we'll take a look around another busy night in the Cape Cod Baseball League. Meanwhile, Harwich ahead of Cotuit 7-1 here. Brewster and Bourne getting underway in an interdivision matchup from Doran Park. Still scoreless in the bottom of the first as Obie got clipped on top of the helmet that time. As Jacobson has really struggled with command on that fastball. He's missed outside, he's missed low, and this time he went with more than chin music.
Yeah, that one was just way out of his hand. Breaking ball didn't break, and that's what's going to happen. Luckily, Obie's okay. It barely touched him, as you put it. Mariners will take another base runner. They've had a base runner in every inning thus far in the ball game.
So Seaver King was caught stealing home to close up the 4th inning, in which the Mariners got an extra 3 runs on a hit. As Brian Arndt steps in, a strong lead off of first for Devin Obie as well. The Nashville native with a certain number of stolen bases on the season looks to be aggressive to run here as it's low to Brian Arndt.
We talk about how Seaver King kind of agrees with the strike call. Brian Arndt strongly shakes his head no when there's a ball that's out of the zone, especially as a catcher, most familiar with the zone. You'll see him violently shake his head no.
Obie reaches as the game's first hit batsman. Orange just holding up there as he takes it low at the knees.
He didn't think so.
Having a silent engagement with William Bowers, the home plate umpire here tonight. Meanwhile, Obie looking for his 2nd stolen base on the season. Meanwhile, Arntz, a double to left field. So we're drawing 2 runs back in the second, a walk back in the fourth as the Mariners brought 8 to the plate. Arndt will have to protect here. Also around the Cape Cod Baseball League here tonight as the All-Star game here from White House Field looms Saturday night. Hyannis and Orleans about set to get underway from Eldridge Park. Orleans starting to heat up. 6 of its last 10 games have been won after Kelly Nicholson picked up his 400th win earlier this season. Obi takes off, a strikeout, and the throw down to second is not in time.
They're going to call batter's interference on Arndt. He's going to be ruled out, and Obi's going to have to go back to first.
Well, he had swung at the 2-strike offering anyway, but it does hinder the Mariners here as they're trying to get some more insurance runs here, and Steve Englert's going to go have a word with Bowers, the home plate umpire. Turning to an extra worded show here tonight, to say the least. First you had Brian Arntz, and then now you have Englert, who has not been shy to speak his mind to the home plate umpires here in the league over the last few weeks.
So I guess Obi's going to also be called out. Last night, the runner just had to retreat to first. I'm not sure what's going on. This is a different rule than last night. I don't even know how you can. That's interesting. Last night we saw this happen. I believe it was on the other side. I think it happened at Falmouth, but they just had to retreat to first base. Could have been us as well. No, it was. Obi got ruled the batter's interference, and someone had to retreat to first base. But instead, he's going to be ruled out. This is a different rule than last night, unless there was a different sort of technicality. But yeah, Englert, just as frustrated as we are up here.
So Will Jacobson, the first reliever here for Cotuit, still in the ball game after 3 1/3 innings from Brian Young. He was taken out the 1-out mark of the 4th inning after giving up 6 earned runs, 7 runs total, 5 hits, 5 walks, and 2 strikeouts. For Jacobson this past season at Harvard, pitched no more than 6 innings, in which he actually dealt against a 40-win Northeastern team on the road, not far from here on the Cape, over in Boston.
I just put a question mark in my scorebook for Devin Obi's time on the base paths.
Over to Ali Camarillo now, as a Texas A&M product takes it on the outer half for strike 1. Jacobson with an ERA at 7 this past season, 0-2 record for the Harvard Crimson of the Ivy League. He gave up 6 home runs and 9 doubles. Now has a little less pressure to work with nobody on here. And it is interesting, you consider last night, Obi rolled out on batter's interference. But a runner was able to stay on the base paths, as this one is sliced out towards right field. Moving back, McCoy trying to fight off the sun, and he makes the putout for the final out here of the 5th inning. So batter's interference, keeping the Mariners quiet here as Jacobson faces the minimum here in the 5th after facing 3 in the 4th inning. The Mariners score no runs on no hits, no errors, and leave nobody on. Still leading 7-1 over the best team in the Cape Cod Baseball League in the Cotuit Kettleers. Harwich ahead by 6. Going into the 6th, we'll step away here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. A 7-1 lead for the Harwich Mariners over the team with the best record in the Cape Cod Baseball League, the Cotuit Kettleers, as the right-handed starter Zane Probst of Alabama closes out his evening, his first start of the season, 5 innings with an earned run, 3 hits, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. Hand the ball over to the southpaw out of Georgia, another team in the Southeastern Conference, as Caldwell at 5'11", 200, the junior out of Powder Springs, Georgia, set to face Carter Matheson here. He's ahead in the count 1-2. Caldwell entering here today with 7 1/3 innings behind him here in his first season in the Cape Cod Baseball League, a 2.46 ERA, no decisions as he sails a slider way over the helmet of Brian Artz.
Caldwell's best outing was his most recent, 3 innings, 48 pitches, no runs, no hits, 4 strikeouts, and no walks. He was sensational. That game came against the Orleans Firebirds, or rather the Bourne Braves, in relief back in that 5-2 loss.
So Zane Probst, faced with a new task today, had 3 holds in relief entering today, was magnificent, in line for the win. But first, a 5-pitch walk here to Carter Matheson, the center fielder, formerly 0 for 2 here tonight. He's able to reach. And you just go back to what Zane Probst was able to do. You talk about what it takes to settle in this kind of league where you're facing not only an average hitting team, but the best hitting team in the Cape Cod Baseball League, the leader in RBIs, home runs, and runs per game at just under 6.5. And Probst was able to really settle in, retiring 10 in a row at one point.
And that's just how good he was last year. So consistently made like 9 or 10 appearances for Harwich and was lights out each time he stepped on the hill. That's why he was an all-star. And this was vintage Zane Probst on the mound here tonight.
Caldwell trying to establish some longevity for himself here in the Mariners bullpen as the second half begins to dwindle, just about 20 games away. This one spiked into right field, and it's trailing down for a base hit past Obi, the right fielder, around second Matheson, and into third. He gets the wave around sign from Mike Roberts at third. Meanwhile, Grant Norris out of Penn State will hold up, and it's an RBI double here to get Cotuit another run as Mariners lead is trimmed to 5 at 7-2.
Yeah, really nice piece of hitting the opposite way by Grant Norris that time. Was able to get the hands inside, barrel it up, send it right into the gap. Obi kind of misplayed it a little bit, tried to cut it off before it got to the wall and might have cost him an extra base, but nonetheless, that ball was hammered, and likely that the run would have scored anyway with no outs.
And this is the Cotuit hitting that has bought itself 22 wins on the season. First pitch here to Danny Corona Jr., the southpaw of Brooklyn, New York, and Wake Forest taken low for strike 1. A Cotuit team that, aside from its hitting prowess this season, Devin, trailing the series 2-1. With runners in scoring position, Cotuit is hitting .326 as Corona is tasked with that here with Norris on second. And it's a cut and a miss as it's quickly 0-2 here to the cleanup hitter. Cotuit without a run since the first inning, in which it got a 2-out single from Corona Jr. to score Grant Norris. Now it's Carter Matheson scoring on the leadoff double here. Slider cut on and missed. Corona Jr. couldn't hold back as he chased after it from Caldwell, and the southpaw picks up his first strikeout here in the 6th.
And a really ugly swing that time, but can't discredit Caldwell. That thing had some really nasty late break. It almost took a right angle, it looked like, to dive off the plate. Fooled Corona, and there's one away now.
An important out here for the left-hander of Powder Springs, Georgia. Caldwell certainly looking for a win here today. 11 strikeouts entering today, now with 12 on the season. As that one tacks the lower outside corner for strike number 1 to James McCoy, the right fielder. Redshirt freshman out of Kentucky, the native of Dunwoody, Georgia. Starting 34 of 36 games with 23 RBIs produced for a Kentucky team that won its second ever NCAA regional over in Kentucky, as he shoots this one foul to make it 0-2. So Zane Probst, similar to Dominic Pacone yesterday, going 5 full innings, except Probst holding the best hitting team in the Cape Cod Baseball League in the Kettleers to just 1 earned run, 4 strikeouts. Pacone setting a season high with 5 yesterday. Now Caldwell trying to follow through here. Has the opportunity to retire the side on strikeouts. Instead, the 2-strike offering misses outside. And Cotuit, a team as threatening as it's been with runners in scoring position, and was able to fend off Chatham for only a tie yesterday as opposed to a loss, has scored less than 5 runs just once in its last 10 games. And on the verge of losing that here as Caldwell deals a foul tip into the glove, a fastball blown by McCoy that time, as it's a second strikeout here for Caldwell in his first inning relief.
And now he's settling down. Had the walk and then the double, but now has started to find it. You see him take that big breath of exhaling that time and, yeah, starting to settle down. And once you get in a rhythm as a pitcher, especially with a lead this size, it really starts to all come together for you.
Well, it has still been a very continuous season for the Kettleers when it comes to finding wins. Cotuit holding 20 or more wins in each year since 2017. Won the 2019 Cape Cod Baseball League title, finishing 3rd in the Cape Cod West Division that year. Mike Roberts now in his 20th season. That one misses high to make it 2-0 here to Haskins. So 2 away, Norris on second with an RBI double to give Cotuit its second run of the game. 2 runs on 4 hits for the Kettleers, 7 runs on 5 hits for the Mariners. They've also taken advantage of Cotuit's 2 errors here today to get the extra runs they've needed early here in the first 4 innings. This one looped back behind home plate.
Cotuit bat boy has 1 sock on.
Just 1. I don't know if that is a high sock and a mid-cut sock. It looks like it's an ankle sock.
Right.
I see a slight shade of red.
I think that I'm seeing what you're seeing.
And you know there's only 1 shade of Cotuit red, too, so it certainly stands out to the eye. A 2-1 golfed foul to the left side. So Caldwell 1 pitch away here from striking out the side. Had Danny Corona Jr. and James McCoy down on strikes after surrendering the RBI double to Grant Norris out of Penn State. 2-2. Breaking ball just goes outside. Haskins trying to stay disciplined in this at-bat. 0 for 2 here on the evening. Very early evening for that matter, starting just 4:50 here today with the light tower still being out of order here at Lighthouse Field, following a thunderstorm earlier in the week. Payoff pitch, check swing, and it just misses outside. The first base umpire, Marvick Gomez, ruled it to be just outside, and certainly a hold that time for Haskins as it's 2-out walk here, and Cotuit with a little bit of life on the base pass with 2 on.
I thought that could have been strike 3 looking even.
Yeah.
It looked to be a really close pitch, and given the circumstance, I feel like you got to ring him up, but Cotuit trailing. They'll take that break, see if they can capitalize.
Here's someone with a little bit of momentum, Devin, and Brock Wills gave Cotuit its first hit since the opening frame as he shoots that back foul for strike 1. Norris on second, Haskins on first. An RBI double for the Penn State product in Norris. Had 12 multi-hit games for the Nittany Lions over in State College this past season. Haskins on first here. Now the 0-1, a half swing, and it's boomed foul to the left side.
That thing was smoked off that barrel of the bat over towards the restroom area here at White House. See that shade coming in, covering most of the infield now at this point. Interesting dynamic. We don't usually play it this time.
Caldwell looking to retire the side on punch-outs here. The 2-0-2 goes low. It gets away from Arndt behind the plate, and that moves 2 runners into scoring position here and will look to be a pass ball.
Yeah, for sure, a pass ball. It went right through the 5-hole. Arndt probably misjudged it, thought he was going to be able to get it in the air. It dove down, and yeah, it allows Cotuit to get an extra 90 feet for a couple of their guys.
Pass balls have been a commonality for the Mariners this season. They're 13th here on the season. And the 1-2 again from Caldwell, bounced over towards the left side, charging Camadillo, fires onto first, just in time. Ali Camadillo, the Texas A&M infielder, not wasting much time to get a valuable final out here in the inning and hold Cotuit to just 1 run of damage as the Kettleers score that 1 run on 1 hit, an RBI double from Grant Norris, and leave 2 on. The Mariners preserving their 5-run lead moving into the bottom of the 6th. Don't go anywhere. This is Harwich Mariners baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. A 7-2 lead for the Harwich Mariners over the top team, the Cape Cod Baseball League, in the Cotuit Kettleers. Will Jacobson, the right-handed reliever out of Harvard, making his second relief appearance today, back on the mound as he's set for his second full inning of work here, set to face Jacob Humphrey, Ethan Anderson, Seaver King, as Humphrey clubs it over towards the right side past the mound, as NERS, the Penn State infielder, moved to his right and makes the first catch on an L4 to start the bottom of the 6th inning here. Well, an impressive inning from Colin Caldwell in his first inning of relief after 5 innings with just 1 run allowed from the starter in Zane Probst. Caldwell leaving 2 on the base pass, both in scoring position for a Cotuit team that's first in RBIs this season. An RBI double from Grant Norris, getting Cotuit to within 5 here. A team that has scored less than 5 runs just once in its last 10 games. A Cotuit team that has not lost much momentum despite tying with the Chatham Anglers last night at 12 apiece back at Lowell Park. So over to Ethan Anderson here. He's even in the count at 1-1 here. Anderson, the switch hitter out of Virginia. 0 for 2 here today. Reached on an E5 back in the 4th before scoring an unearned run on a sacrifice fly to center field from Kevin Carstetter. This time a changeup dipping low to make it 2 balls and 1 strike here to Anderson. So with Harwich ahead 7-2, a quick glance around the rest of the Cape Cod Baseball League. Just 2 more days before the All-Star game arrives here at White House Field in Harwich, Massachusetts. The Falmouth Commodores ahead of the Wareham Gatemen 2-1. Falmouth at 16-15-2 after beating Harwich last night in its second and final time hosting the Mariners this season at interdivision battle. The Brewster Whitecaps and the Bourne Braves are tied with a run apiece in the bottom, the second from Doran Park. The Harbor Hawks and the Firebirds scoreless as Anderson just takes a changeup low at the knees. A 5-pitch walk here for Anderson, and certainly a valuable walk for the confidence of Ethan Anderson to drop Seaver King.
Yeah, it's been a tough go for him this season. Came into today hitting just above 100 at 106 and hits the ball hard, just unfortunately right to everyone. It's like everyone has a magnet in their pocket when he's up. And, yeah, just really struggles. But he'll be able to figure it out, I'm sure, shortly. Just been a tough go as of recently.
So Jacobson getting some help from his defense in the 5th to keep the Harwich Mariners to a minimum after hitting Devin Obie just above the helmet. But the Mariners weren't able to tack on any additional insurance runs. Seaver King watches it low for ball 1 here. 2 walks on the day for the Wingate products. Hitting .423 for the Mariners entering tonight. Meanwhile, Jacobson through 34 2/3 innings for Harvard this past season, collecting 25 strikeouts, a 7 ERA. Did not get a win on his card, as this one is fouled back to make it 1-1. This is a Cotuit team that tried to take Brian Young, left-handed newcomer, trying to make a deep start here today, but he only went 3 1/3 innings, gave up 6 earned runs with 5 issued walks, 5 hits allowed as well, 2 strikeouts. So Young, after getting a couple of impressive wins, some quality starts in the MAAC conference tournament, and a regional loss to Duke, just not able to go as full as Mike Roberts probably would have wanted him to for a Cotuit team that has the 4th lowest ERA, but certainly hasn't looked as advertised here, as the Harwich Mariners have taken full attack with their hitting throughout the lineup.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's good to be able to get a pitcher out of the game early and make Cotuit dive into their bullpen, a team that's been so strong on the mound, as we've alluded to. I mean, opponents only hitting .237 against them.
There goes the runner, and Anderson, a strikeout for King, a throw down to second in time. A strike him out, throw him out double play gets Cotuit out here, and after a 1-out walk for Ethan Anderson, the Mariners unable to tack on additional runs here, as Harwich brings 4 to the plate, rather just 3, scores no runs on no hits, no errors, and leaves nobody on. Will Jacobson again facing the minimum here in the 6th, as Harwich holds on to a 7-2 lead and leaves it up to Colin Caldwell to try and preserve that 5-run advantage moving into the 7th. We'll be right back here from White House Fields. This is Harwich Mariners Baseball on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. It started with a 5-inning, 1-run start from Zane Probst, the right-hander out of Alabama. He gave it to the southpaw in Colin Caldwell, and he's set to come out for his second inning of relief here as the Mariners lead 7-2. Wyatt Copeland, Devin Dobeck here with you on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Devin, Colin Caldwell certainly picking up from his SEC counterpart, looking really strong. Over to you for the final 3 innings.
He's been fantastic as he deals ball 1 up and away to the hitter, and Teo Banks. Teo on the day has flew out to left and lined out to the shortstop Camarillo. Behind in the count 1-0. Here's the pitch from Caldwell. Misses up high that time, 2-0. Been leaving a lot up high as of lately. Probably something to do with that landing point and release combination. Here comes the 2-0 offering to Banks, and it's right down Broadway that time for a strike. It's 2-1. Caldwell, yeah, he started with the walk and the double. Actually had 2 walks in the last inning, but was able to surrender just the 1 run, which you'll take, especially with a lead of this size. That one just misses the outer part of the zone, and it's 3-1. Caldwell out of Georgia, making his 4th appearance for the M's this season. Deals the 3-1, and it's going to be popped up right over to the first base area. Anderson on the outfield grass is able to make the catch for out number 1 here in the 7th.
I think for Caldwell, fortunate to get the fly ball contact that time as opposed to being on the ground. On the ground probably goes closer to the mound, and Caldwell actually turned the other way with his jersey to the backside of the first base bag, so probably wouldn't have been able to cover for Anderson over at first had it been that occurrence.
So now it'll be Jack Scanlon, who's grounded out to second and struck out looking as he watches strike 1 hit the outside corner. Cotuit trailing by 5 runs here in the ball game as ball 1 misses down low. Caldwell continuing in relief here, trying to give Zane Probst his first win of the season. As this is popped up over to the second base area, Seaver King calling for it, ranging in, makes the catch, battling the sun for out number 2. 2 up, 2 down for Caldwell in the 7th.
And just like Probst, Caldwell feeling maybe a little flustered when he gave up the RBI double, but knew that a particular outing, especially when you're trying to get Probst to win, isn't determined by how you always start or really how you finish as well. The RBI double from Grant Norris, and Caldwell is really doing well.
First pitch is in there for a strike to Cole Mathis, the leadoff hitter for the Kettleers. All-star today has not been such a star. 0 for 3 with a strikeout, fly out to left, and a ground out to third. Count is even at 1-1 to Mathis, who's been fantastic all season. 2-way player, as we talked about. Some pitch, I believe, against the Mariners back at Will Park as he wraps this one off to the left. Almost got a piece of the light tower. And so it'll be a 1-2 count now. Carter Matheson on deck. Kettleers with a chance for offense if Mathis can keep the chain moving as he fouls off another pitch. Stay at 1-2.
And Mathis pitched the final 3 innings and actually gave up only 4 hits, but for a 2-way player, someone who's looking to do damage on both sides of the diamond against a Harwich team that has not been able to collect too many wins consecutively as of late, certainly need to be able to provide some hitting here.
2-2 is going to be pounded out into the left field line and fair. One hops onto the wall. Mathis trotting into second with a stand-up double. Waving to the dugout. He's on with 2 away here for the 2-hitter in Carter Matheson.
Yeah, and if you take anything away here from what Cotuit might have been missing, it's still showing a good deal of extra base hit contact. Shot it down the line that time, and Mathis just timing it up perfectly to where he wasn't too early.
Matheson's turn. He's 0 for 2. He's grounded out to second, struck out swinging. He's also walked and came around to score. Here comes the first pitch, and it's going to be on the inside corner for a strike. Matheson, the center fielder for the Kettleers, arguably their best player. I mean, you got to think they've lost a bunch of talent, and I believe they had Bateman and Council.
Kawhi Harrison as well.
Yep.
Another former Harwich Mariners infielder.
Right on. They just keep going to Cotuit, I guess. Harwich is a little farm for Cotuit, it appears.
Let them Cotuit.
Well done. Good play on words that time, Wyatt. 1-1. Over to Matheson. Misses high, and it's 2-1. 2 away here in the 7th. Mariners leading 7-2 over the Kettleers. 2 balls and a strike to the batter and Matheson with a runner on second and Cole Mathis. Caldwell checks the runner, comes home, and it's going to be chopped softly into the shallow infield. Caldwell field. It's going to be a weird play at first. Anderson gets back in time, and it's a 1-3 putout to end the 7th. Despite a 2-out double, Cotuit can't push any across. Time to stretch here at the house. We'll be right back for the bottom of the 7th on the other side. You're listening to the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Back into the home half of the 7th, Kalen Culpepper, Kevin Karstetter, and Mason Guerra due up for the M's. New pitcher is going to be Brock Peary, the sidewinder, as you'd coin it, Wyatt. Delivers strike 1 over the heart of the plate to go ahead of Culpepper. That is over for Will Jacobson. We'll get to his line in just a moment, as the 0-1 is going to miss outside. Wow, full splits behind the plate for Jack Scanlon that time. It's 1-1. Jacobson 2 2/3, no hits, no runs, 4 walks and a strikeout. An unorthodox line, but he did his job to keep this game where it's at, as Culpepper grounds this one foul. And so now the count 1-2.
And if you're Harwich, you kind of have to be telling yourself it's certainly not over. Cotuit with 2 more chances, and you want to be able to keep this one out of reach as much as possible after Cotuit faced what it faced last night against Chatham.
1-2 pitch is going to be lined into center field. Coming in is Matheson and can't get to it. Kalen Culpepper picks up a hit, and that's how the 7th starts for the Mariners. Peary's line this season out of Arizona State for the Kettleers this season, a 10.13 earned run average, making his 6th appearance all in relief. He's gone 8 innings, given up 9 hits to go along with 9 earned runs, 5 walks, and 10 strikeouts. It's been an ugly summer for him here, but trying to keep this game where it's at. As Kevin Karstetter, his Arizona State teammate, digs in, a little Sun Devil on Sun Devil matchup. First pitch misses inside, almost got Karstetter, and he's heading the count 0-1, or 1-0 rather. Culpepper taking a walking lead off first. He was able to steal a base in the 4th as Karstetter evens it up at 1-1 with a swing and a miss. Culpepper was also picked off in the 1st. Be a lot more difficult to get him this time with the right-hander on the mound. 1-1. Lays off, but it's in there for a strike. Kevin didn't like it, but now he's going to have to protect behind in the count 1-2. Carstetter on the day, a really productive day. He's 1 for 1 with a single, came around to score. He's also walked and hit a sacrifice fly to drive in a run as he lines this one into right field off his Arizona State teammate for a base hit. Carstetter, 2 for 2 on the day. He's been on base 3 times. A fantastic game for him. And now 2 on with nobody away for Mason Guerra.
And as you might think, with Carstetter being the slugger that he is, enough hits is almost never enough. Really, when you're Harwich and you're trying to get as much of an advantage on the best team in the baseball league of Cape Cod and Cotuit, Carstetter almost hit it on the grounds for the second time, and he did, where he was able to go an opposite way for a second time here today. Remember, you had that single to right field back in the second.
And I'll tell you what, it is paying dividends for Steve Engler, putting him in the cleanup spot. He's just been so productive at moving runners around, extending innings, not making unproductive outs. I mean, really a great performance from Carstetter tonight. He's been fantastic. Here comes the first pitch to Guerra, and it's going to just miss for a ball, 1-0. Yeah, definitely a funky delivery from Brock Peary. Native of Arizona as well, from Peoria, Arizona. 6 foot, 195-pound right-hander. As this one's lined into right field for a base hit. Culpepper rounding third. He's headed home. There will be no play at the plate, and the Mariners extend their lead. It's 8-2, an RBI single from Mason Guerra. Everybody cashing in within the lineup tonight. Everybody has reached base as well.
It's been a communal effort. Guerra had 2 walks for a season high just between the second and the third, and this time able to drive in a run. Also went the opposite way, similar to Carstetter, who's done it twice, and that'll draw Mike Roberts, the skipper, again out of the dugout here. Wonder what he likes to do with nobody warming up.
He's given up 3 straight hits here in the 7th. It's been a tough go. And yeah, looking up and down this Mariner order, it's just been a whole lot of success. Everybody in the lineup, actually 6 people in the lineup have hits. Humphrey has scored a run, so productive there. Also has a line out. Then you got Seaver King, who's walked twice, even without a hit. And Anderson, who's walked and reached on an error, came around to score. So everybody doing things even without the bat. It's just been up and down, an offensive dream for Steve Engler, one they desperately needed as they lead this one 8-2. While we have a moment here, we can take a look around the Cape Cod Baseball League scoreboard. Harwich, of course, on top of Cotuit, 8-2 in the home half of the 7th. Falmouth leading Wareham 2-1 at Spillane Field. Or no, rather at Commodore Hendy Field. That's actually out at Mass Maritime, where our typical PA announcer Joe Malkin currently is residing, taking care of that game, where his work is. Brewster trailing Bourne 3-1 in the bottom of the 2nd at Dorn Park. And Orleans on top of Hyannis 1-0 in the bottom of the 1st from Eldridge Park. As Obi sees the first pitch and fouls it off to the right to make it 0-1. Harwich leading 8-2. It's been a offensive, just kind of paradise for them tonight.
Everyone here in the lineup. Speed on the base pass here for Obi. I'm imagining you can't put too much pressure on yourself here, even with a 6-run lead. Of course, Engler, you want to be able to see your team score runs, but for Obi, who's also been a victim of strikeouts, just getting the ball in play, a first priority here.
Here comes the 1-1 offering, and it's going to be cracked way out into the gap. Long run over for Matheson, but he ranges under it, makes the catch. Tagging up, heading into third is Carstetter without a play. And that will be a productive out for Devin Obi as Carstetter's down to third.
Yeah, Mariners have gotten the opportunity with their sacrifice flies here today, and this time Obi just getting a sacrifice hit, knowing that Mariners need to keep running or moving runners over on the base pass. So just one away here, Brian Arndt in a prime opportunity.
Brian Arndt's turn. He's doubled, came around to score, walked, came around to score, and was ruled out on batter's interference. As here's the first pitch. It's in there for a strike, 0-1. Arndt, the all-star starter at catcher. Three straight hits and then a productive out from Devin Obi to start the 7th here. Harwich already scoring a run and counting, 0-1. Misses outside. It's 1-1. Arndt's already driven in a pair tonight with his RBI double. Trying to do some more damage here. I think that's my keyword, damage. I've been using that a lot, but hasn't been too many opportunities to do damage as of late. So taking advantage. 1-2. The count now to Brian Arndt as he swings over the top of that one and misses. Bourne's actually extended their lead to 5-1 over Brewster in the third. New Orleans on top Hyannis 2-0, still in the bottom of the first. 1-2. Misses way outside to even up the count at 2-2. I mean, that one was country mile outside, almost way outside the other batter's box. Maybe a little worried about Guerra running. As here comes the 2-2. Popped foul off to the right. And so we'll stay there at 2-2. Arndt putting up a good fight here in the seventh. Mariners scored 4 in the second, 3 in the fourth, and now 1 and counting in the seventh. Trying to pile it on. Cotuit just had the 1 in the first inning, and then 1 in the sixth. 8-2 is where we stand. Here's the 2-2. Checked his swing. Did he go? Yes, so says Marvick Gomez. And, a really tough ring up for Brian Arndt there, but he did go around. And so that will be a strikeout for the new wing in Peary, his first of the evening. And there's 2 away now.
Tough to take that first strikeout after you started the night with the RBI double and then a walk. Got tacked with batter's interference as well. Trying to draw in more runners here instead of there being just 1 out and a runner home. More runners on scoring position potentially, if not 2. It's 2 outs away here for Ali Camarillo.
So now it'll be Ali, as you mentioned, Wyatt. He's 2 for 3 on the day. A pair of singles, including an RBI single, and also a fly out to right. 4th at bat for him here. So he digs in with 2 on and 2 away. Runner at the corners, Carstetter and Guerra. The pitch. Misses way outside once again, that big sweeping pitch. Having trouble locating it as of right now, and it's 2-0. Harwich by a half dozen as it stands now. The pitch, that one in there for a strike. Count is now 2-1. Camarillo didn't like the call, but he'll have to dig back in there. The all-star shortstop for the Mariners. Trying to make something happen here in the late innings. Here's the pitch. Misses inside, almost got him that time. Able to dance out of the way, and it's 3-1. Jacob Humphrey on deck. A walk here would bring him up with the bases loaded. He does have 1 home run on the season. 3-1. It's going to be chopped foul to make it 3-2 right off the hand of Coach Tebow down at third base. So here we go. Camarillo looking for another RBI knock in his 3rd hit of the day. 3-2, swung on a miss. Down he goes. Back-to-back strikeouts to end the inning for Brock Peary. But he does surrender a run after 3 straight singles. Mariners do strand 2 as we head to the 8th inning. 8-2 M's. We'll be right back on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Harwich Mariners YouTube Network. Grant Norris will dig in to face Caldwell, and he's ahead in the count 1-0. Caldwell back out there for what will be his third inning of work, trying to keep this game where it's at with the Mariners in front. Here comes the 1-0 offering. Misses away, and it's 2-0. On the day, Norris has walked, came around to score. He's also struck out swinging and doubled. 2-0 pitch. Breaking ball just misses up high, 3-0. Danny Corona Jr. and James McCoy on deck and in the hole respectively. As 3-0 pitch is going to be dialed in there for a strike. It's 3-1. Sun starting to fall more and more behind the trees here at Monomoy High School and White House Field. 3-1, misses up high, 5-pitch walk to start off the inning for the Kettleers. Yeah, Caldwell's had some control problems. He walked 2 in the 6th inning, and now has walked 1 here in the 8th, and that will draw out R.J. Thomas to talk things over.
Imagine the word has to be just settle in, stick with what's working best for you. You've seen that fastball. It's been left a little bit high. You can try and pitch down here. See what he can do to try and at least get out of this inning. Still no outs. Looks like the Mariners have just one warming up in the bullpen. I'd have to think that Cole Rowland is due here. You also have John Hollebetts and a couple others due today in Jake Newman. So now I think it looks like they're going to get 2 warmed up here. Imagine that Rowland is just going to get loose here.
I think Rowland's going to get loose, and the other guy's his bodyguard. Because, you know, there's always those stray foul balls that get sent over there. Got to have your little guard.
Yeah, but he's been warming up for some time now, not Rowland's.
We shall see as the game progresses, but a fresh count to Danny Corona Jr. as the mound visit ends. First pitch is going to be right down Broadway. A nice breaking ball to make it 0-1. Danny Corona Jr. on the day, 1 for 3, singled, flew out to center, and struck out swinging against Caldwell. Here comes the 0-1. Misses outside, 1-1. Norris walked to get over onto first. See what Harwich can do. Up by 6 runs here in the 8th. Looking for some quick outs. Here comes the 1-1. Checked his swing. Did he go? No, he did not. So the count moves to 2-1 to the Wake Forest product and Danny Corona. Trying to find a way to hurt his old team here with a base hit. Here comes the 2-1 from Caldwell. That one might have got a piece of him. No, it just runs inside and makes the count 3-1, having to brush Corona back off the plate. And yeah, it is Cole Rowland, who's a teammate of Danny Corona at Wake Forest, getting loose in the pen. I would imagine he'll be in shortly to wrap this thing up, especially if Caldwell's control suffers. Here's the 3-1. That is going to miss low for a ball. Close pitch there. Back-to-back walks from Caldwell, putting runners at first and second now with nobody away.
Yeah, the last thing you need is just to start walking batters here. Cotuit, just 140 walks at this point in the season, just about 3/4 of the way through, but certainly needs base runners similar to what the Mariners have faced over the past few nights as they've been winless through 4 games. Caldwell needs to get out of this one, get some ground ball contact induced, get your defense moving.
James McCoy watches a strike go by. It's 0-1. He's singled today, flied out to left, and struck out swinging. 4th at bat for him here in the 8th. As here's the 0-1. It's going to be swiped off to the right and goes foul towards the Cotuit bullpen. And it's 0-2 quickly.
Cotuit still with 6 outs to work with as well. Trying to keep it going against Caldwell, extend this 8th inning. Cotuit got 6 off of Caldwell back in the 6th. There, I should say 6 batters to the plate. But ever since, has just not found too much momentum. Prime opportunity here.
0-2 is going to be popped up in the infield right over to Kalen Culpepper as Camarillo jokingly called for it himself. Not sure why he would mess with his own teammate like that, but the two share a laugh after that. And it's going to be one away now for Trevor Haskins. Haskins on the day 0 for 2, a fly out to right, fly out to center, and a walk. Caldwell deals him a breaking ball in there for a strike to make it 0-1. Haskins on the season for the Kettleers hitting .333. Granted, that was just 1 for 3. And just making his second appearance for the club. Here comes the 0-1 offering. And it's cut on a miss to make it 0-2. Brock Willis awaits on deck. Should have a chance to hit, barring a big double play here for the club. And the pitch. The runners go. The pitch misses. The throw down to third is gotta have gotten him. Yes, it does. Huge throw out by Brian Arndt. Jerry Martinez making the call as gun down at third is Grant Norris. And now there's 2 away. Still 2 strikes on the batter, a 1-2 count. Danny Corona does advance down to second. So the double steal does not pay off for Cotuit. They sacrifice an out. And we'll see if Caldwell now can attack Haskins. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. Caldwell strikes him out, picks up his 3rd strikeout of the ball game. He's able to escape the 8th inning, facing just 4 batters despite back-to-back walks to lead off the inning. We head to the home half of the 8th. Mariners leading 8-2. Right back on the other side, coming at you on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network.
Nothing says summer like Cape Cod baseball. Rooted in rich tradition and top collegiate talent, the Cape Cod Baseball League has been delighting fans and families for 100 years. Mark your calendars. The 2023 Cape Cod Baseball League All-Star Game takes place on July 22nd at 6 p.m. at White House Field in Harwich. Plan ahead and arrive at White House Field early to experience family-friendly festivities throughout the day.
Another call to the bullpen for the Kettleers. Jacob Humphrey will be the batter to start things. It'll be 9-1-2 for the Mariners. First pitch to Humphrey that he sees is going to be laced way out into right field. Long run for Brock Wills, who was just moved out to right field, as the pitcher will now be James McCoy, who was previously in right field. Kind of an interesting mix there, and he gets tested early. James McCoy pitched at Kentucky just 2 games in relief, 2 innings, 2 hits, no runs. Just 8 batters faced, a whip of 1.00. Not much really of a sample size there. As he digs in here, dials in a strike to make it 0-1. Now to Ethan Anderson, still searching for a hit today. He's 0 for 3. Struck out looking, flew out to center, reached down an error and scored and walked before being caught stealing. Yeah, they're just kind of lobbing it out there with McCoy. Not doing a whole lot out there, not wasting his arm. Heading the count 0-2 on Ethan Anderson. In the windup. Big windup, the pitch. Swing and a miss. He got him swinging. And wow, this is kind of entertaining. Even Mike Roberts cracking a smile out there by the dugout. He's kind of enjoying this crazy windup and then pitch offering. As Anderson shakes his head, headed back to the dugout. First strikeout for McCoy.
I wouldn't be surprised maybe seeing Ephus here as well from the old school windup here. This is quite something.
He's trying a new windup every pitch, it seems like.
I think Seaver King might be getting a laugh out of it too.
And yeah, he even says, my bad, McCoy is trying to end this inning. Yeah, King really laughing a lot. He's enjoying this. 2 away here in the 8th. Mariners looking for some insurance from King, as that one's going to be in there for a strike to make it 1-1. King on the day, a pair of walks, a strikeout, and a ground out. This one's going to be cracked down the line into right field for a base hit. King rounding first, thinking 2, and he's going to go 2. The play at second, not in time. King in there, holding the bag with his legs as he overslid it. And it's going to be a 2-out double for Seaver King, his first hit of the day, and it extends the 8th for the Mariners.
And Seaver King has done a good job of being able to provide some continuous hitting throughout this lineup as well, now on a 4-game hitting streak. So credit to him for being able to find some rhythm, getting back from the Team USA Collegiate National Team. And Kalen Culpepper now tasked with giving the Mariners their first run since back in the 7th.
Not a very long wait
no,
by any means.
But it's only against Cotuit, too,
yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
It's just against Cotuit.
There's a high pitch that time for a ball.
Nothing to feel apprehension over, right?
Absolutely. Culpepper does have a hit today. He's also walked and grounded into fielder's choice and struck out as he grounds this one into left field for a base hit. King being waved home, and he will score easily. It's an RBI single for Kalen Culpepper, and the Mariners now lead it 9-2.
Yeah, top of the order, including cleanup hitter Kevin Karstetter. Has just been getting contact on the ground and saw some soft contact from Cotuit to open the scoring earlier in the first. And ever since, the Mariners have countered with that. Their 10th hit on the day. A strong feat for a team that hasn't averaged a whole deal of hits over the past 5 games.
McCoy comes set. The pitch. Trying a little slide step that time, it's almost like. So he throws that one in for a strike. It's 0-1. 9 runs on 10 hits, no errors for the Mariners. 2 runs, 5 hits, 2 errors for the Kettleers, as that one's clanged off the pitcher. And McCoy, he got paid the price for a comebacker, gets him on the leg, and it'll be an infield single for Karstetter. His 3rd hit of the day. Another 3-hit game for him. He's been on base 4 times. Currently 3 for 3 in the ball game. He's been fantastic. Culpepper in a second, and it's 3 straight hits after 2 quick outs.
The Mariners have had 6 runs for a single game high a couple of times this season, but when you're trying to be the best team in the Cape Cod Baseball League for the 3rd time, you're not really thinking about records, of course. You want to be able to drive runners in, something you're looking to improve upon as a team with the postseason starting to near, and Mason Guerra already with a handful of RBIs on the season here, prime opportunity again.
1-0 pitch is going to be cracked into center field for a base hit. Culpepper being waved home from 3rd. There will be no play at the plate, and the Mariners now in double-digit figures. It's 10-2, 4 straight hits here in the 8th inning.
And Harwich has taken some pitchers deep in counts here today. That time, Guerra kind of flipping the script and, of course, wanting to put more pressure here on McCoy, the 2-way player, after Harwich chased away Will Jacobson, the first reliever. So this has been a great outing here against some of the better pitchers for this Cotuit staff.
Brock Peary's final line: 1 inning, 3 hits, an earned run, 2 strikeouts, and no walks. As first pitch is in there for a strike on the outside corner to Obi, who on the day has singled, grounded into double play, been hit by a pitch, and flied out to center. 0-1 gets away from the catcher, and Carsetter thought about going and ends up remaining on second. Count is 1-1 now. Most runs Mariners have scored in a game this season is 12. I believe they've done it a couple times. See if Obi has a few more RBIs in him tonight. Pitch misses, and it'll be 2-1 now to Devin Obi. Brian Arnn on deck. McCoy going into the teeth of the Harwich batting order, all these all-stars. 2-1 misses up and away, and it's 3-1. Guerrero walking lead off first. Carsetter, an average lead down at second. Here comes the 3-1. And Obi fouls it off back that time, and it's 3-2. Mariners looking for a little more help heading into the ninth. Cole Rowland looks ready to go as Obi goes down swinging. So McCoy comes into the ballgame, picks up a pair of strikeouts, surrenders 4 hits, just what you'd expect from a position player. And the Mariners lead it 10-2. It's winning time here in Harwich. We head to the ninth, and it will be Cole Rowland to the bump. We'll be right back on the other side. You're listening to the Harwich Mariners YouTube network.
Live from White House Field in Harwich, Massachusetts, the Harwich Mariners look to keep it rolling. Well, it took a while to get here, but the power's back on. The burgers are on the grill, and the fans have filed in. We're ready to play baseball here on this lovely Tuesday evening. Pitch the good one, and that is going back. That's a hard hit ball. Back it goes toward the fence.
10-2 Harwich heading into the ninth inning.
Harwich
It'll be the
Mariners
bottom three in the order for the Cotuit Kettleers. Teo Banks and Jack Scanlon, as Cole Rowland is tagged in as the put-away man for the Mariners. Colin Caldwell's night is over 3 innings, 2 hits, just 1 earned run, 4 walks, and 3 strikeouts. An up-and-down line for him, but Mariners could finally afford to have a shaky relief appearance with that huge lead that they gathered early on.
Lineup has been sensational here tonight and just getting the hits when they need them. And with situational hitting, that's something the Mariners have struggled. Now they turn to their closer in Rowland out of Wake Forest at 6'2", 210, and he's gone 3 1/3 scoreless innings in his 3 scoreless or in his 3 appearances. So having 6 strikeouts certainly helps. Confidence-inducing to have that going into the ninth as you look for that 1-2-3 job.
Rowland comes set. He's got that huge thing where he pushes his arms out as he's getting set, dials in a ball. It's just going to be outside. Rowland on the season 1-0 record, has not surrendered an earned run, making his 4th appearance, 1 save, 3 1/3 innings, 6 strikeouts, just 1 walk, and hasn't given up a hit. He is lights out. And I told you why during the break. I'm a little confused as to why they'd go to their best bullpen arm in a 10-2 ball game. Of course, at the end of the day, it's summer baseball, and you're going to put in whoever's due to pitch, but it would be nice to save Cole Rowland for Hyannis tomorrow on the road, even if it's an extended relief outing. And as you mentioned, there's plenty of arms that would be able to go today that are due to go. So Mariners will ride with Rowland. He's behind in the count 2-1 now to Brock Willis, who on the day is flied out to right, singled, stolen a base, and grounded out to shortstop, 2-1. Just misses outside, 3-1. Roland this past 4 at Wake Forest, a 3.86 earned run average, 5-1 record. Did not make a start for the club. 53 2/3 innings, 72 strikeouts to just 12 walks. That is a number that will make your jaw drop, as that one's in there for a strike. 3-2. He really is everything you could want out of a closer. He's got that swagger to him. He's got that attitude. Very confident, and he hits the strike zone. Very efficient. Doesn't give up too many free tickets. 3-2. Swing and a miss. Arndt grabs it, and that will be strikeout number 1 here in the 9th.
Attendance of 1270 here tonight to see a captivating matchup in which the Mariners have dominated nearly from the start, really getting those 4 runs in the second inning. Cole Rowland certainly has to feel a sense of confidence going into this 9th inning, and having his lineup just do him a lot of service tonight.
So it'll be Teo Banks now. 0 for 3 with a fly out, a line out, and another pop out. First pitch to him from Rowland is going to be in there for a strike. Rowland almost like a pendulum on the mound. He's got that very vertical delivery when he comes home. He's ahead 0-1. Harwich looking to wrap up their 15th win of the season here. In what is now game 34, so just 10 games to go in the regular season after today. Cotuit and Harwich will be done playing each other until possible championship series, as it's 0-2 now. Rowland looking for another punch out. Heading the count 0-2. 1 away here, signaling he wants the same sign over the dugout. He comes set now. Here comes the pitch. And he drilled him right in the back. Got Teo Banks, who will take his free pass this time down to first. And Rowland loses him on the hook. And now 1 on, 1 away for Jack Scanlon.
The Harwich pitchers have hardly hit 30 batters this season, so especially for Rowland, a little bit of a difference to see here. But now ground ball can put this one away here and give the Mariners a win in which they desperately need in order to try and get back into that Cape Cod East division race.
Scanlon on the day is grounded out to second, struck out looking, and popped out to second. Tough night for the 9-hitter. First pitch in there for a strike. It's 0-1 now from Rowland. Just 2 runs on 5 hits with 2 errors for the Cotuit Kettleers here tonight. An uncharacteristic showing from them, who pride themselves on being sound defensively and lighting up the scoreboard. Not to mention their pitching staff, who has one of the lower ERAs in the league. And that will miss up high to make it a 1-1 count. But yeah, they've surrendered the 10 runs here tonight. Kind of a switch of powers between these two clubs. Here comes the 1-1 pitch from Rowland. On the inside corner for a strike, 1-2. Cole Mathis, the first baseman, on deck for the Kettleers. And barring an inning-ending double play, he will get a chance against Cole Rowland. He comes set at the belt, checking the runner. Here's the pitch. It's going to be popped but foul back towards the bathroom area. And so we stay at 1-2. Rowland featured an almost Friday post for the Harwich Mariners today. The cover photo. Check that out on our social media if you get a chance. Here comes the 1-2 from Cole Rowland. And it's going to be grounded but foul off to the right. And so we'll stay at 1-2. Good battle here in the 9th between Rowland and Scanlon. Rowland coming set once more at the belt. 1-2. Just misses up high, 2-2. Not his best control here tonight. Has hit a man. That was Teo Banks just a batter ago. See how he can respond. Here comes the 2-2 pitch. And it's going to be spoiled foul back towards the netting. And so we remain there 2-2. Cotuit never will go down without a fight. That's one thing about them. They will continue to get deep into at-bats, work pitchers. It's the brand of baseball they go. Two. In there, strike three. Cole Rowland rings him up. Picks up his second strikeout in the inning, and now there's 2 down in the 9th with a runner on first for Cole Mathis.
Well, Rowland's certainly an integral piece in the Wake Forest bullpen, and to be able to get quick strikeouts here, key for him. Got Brock Wills down on a swinging strike, and to retire the side here, kind of that next step when it just comes to taking it on against the best hitting team in the Cape Cod Baseball League.
Mathis on the day, 1 for 4. First pitch from Rowland, cut on a miss for a strike. It's 0-1. Rowland searching to strike out the side. He's got a pair now, also a hit batsman. Beautiful night in Harwich, just about set to come to a close. Cole Rowland looking to end this thing against Cole Mathis. 0-1 is going to be a broken bat flare over to Kalen Culpepper at third, and it's caught. The Mariners win this one by a final score of 10-2 at White House Field in front of the home crowd. We'll break it all down on the other side on the Harwich Mariners postgame show. Don't go anywhere as we get right into the ditches to figure out what went right for Harwich. Big win, and we'll be back on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. We welcome you into the Harwich Mariners postgame show. Devin Dobeck alongside Wyatt Kopelman, set to get things going here as we get into being had between Steve Engler and Mike Roberts. Not sure what that's about, but we'll leave that where it is as the Mariners take this one 10-2 and beat the Kettleers in the season series by a final game score of 3-1. They take this one 10-2, and Wyatt, just a thrilling win. Finally got the offense working. And it felt good to finally be in the driver's seat in a ball game almost the entire way.
And to keep out Young out of the starting slot for only 3 1/3 innings was crucial for the Mariners. They knew they had to get some early runs on the board. They didn't waste any time in the second inning. 4 runs on 4 hits for the Mariners, able to induce some errors against this Cotuit defense, which entered with the 3rd best fielding percentage in the league. And although it had above 30 errors, you knew that Cotuit had to be sharp against a Mariners team that was hungry to get some hits here today, and it got those 10 runs on 12 hits, where it was a much-needed victory, and arguably its most convincing victory of the season as well.
Yeah, great outing from Zane Probst. 5 innings, just 3 hits, 1 earned run, 4 strikeouts, and a walk. He finally earns his first win of the season. Gotta feel good from him. Good relief from Colin Caldwell. Came in 3 innings, just 1 earned run. Picked up 3 strikeouts as well. Harwich finally had it clicking all at once. They finished the day with 12 hits, 10 runs, an explosion of offense after they hadn't scored 10 runs in quite some time, Wyatt. And for the Kettleers on the other side, their winless streak goes to now 4 games. 2 teams that are in opposite directions kind of switched momentums here tonight.
Yeah, and Harwich hadn't had more than 4 runs in each of its past 5 games, so this has to feel resounding. I mean, you didn't just walk off the Kettleers this time and expect for something to happen with a runner on in scoring position in extra innings. You were able to just bring them in and kind of hit them around when Cotuit probably didn't see this coming, especially given that it had a great lead yesterday and then allowed 10 unearned runs to score for the Chatham Anglers, a team in much need of a victory as well. and Chatham only at 9 wins as well. So you figure that if you can get enough runs against Cotuit, one of the better pitching teams in the Cape Cod Baseball League, aside from its hitting prowess that it brings in, day out, then you would be happy with that. But Cotuit certainly has a little bit of soul-searching to do right now because season's not over. As you said, there were still about 10 games after the All-Star break, about 8. So you'd have to figure that Cotuit has to just kind of reset here, take a moment to go into the All-Star break knowing that it has a confirming lead on the top of the Cape Cod West Division standings, but it may not be secure.
And it's only a 5-point lead, and Hyannis up 6-2 on Orleans right now. So if they win, they'll be within just 3 points of the Kettleers. But great games up and down the board. Kevin Karstetter, 3 for 3 on the night. Got on base 4 times, scored a run. Everyone in the Harwich lineup scored at least 1 run except for Ali Camarillo, and he drove in a small handful, so pretty good for him. You got to be pretty satisfied with everything you got. I mean, Devin Obie, a single there. Brian Arndt scored a pair of runs. Kalen Culpepper scored a pair of runs with a pair of hits, also walked. You can look at everyone in this lineup, and they contributed a finally team win for Harwich.
I mean, the situational hitting was the most marketable or the most accomplishing that you can feel all season long, especially when you're going to need that against Hyannis tomorrow, a place that you have yet to win against, a team you have yet to beat. And to face a team like Hyannis right now that you said, searching for wins in the top of the division, certainly going to be key to be able to bring that strong contact hitting focused approach. And just to be able to bring in runs when you need to. You got some great starts and great outings, rather, out of Zane Probst and Colin Caldwell combined for 8 innings of just 2 runs. And Cotuit right now, a little bit shell-shocked, I'd say, given that they probably didn't expect this. And not only from a hitting perspective to only get 2 runs, but also just to get the lack of pitching that it wanted to, especially out of its starter and Young with just 3 1/3 innings.
Cotuit is the last team to hit double-digit losses. They dropped to 22-10-1, whereas Harwich improves to 15-18-1. And that is just about where the standings lie. Not much movement other than that, but final box score, Harwich 10 runs on 12 hits with no errors. Cotuit 2 runs on 5 hits with a pair of errors. The win goes to Zane Probst. Brian Young, in his CCBL debut, earns the loss. As that is where we will leave you tomorrow night, 6 o'clock in Hyannis at McKeon Park. Wyatt Kopelman, Courtney Robinson, and Matt Skillings collectively will have the call for you. Looking forward to that one. But once again, the final score, 10-2 in favor of the Mariners. They pick up a win that they desperately needed. So on behalf of our entire media team, our producer, Sean Sears, my partner, Wyatt Kopelman, and myself, Devin Dobeck, thank you so much for joining us on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. And always remember to live the dream. We'll see you tomorrow night.